Okay, OBS did something very strange. It's never done that before. Uh, we don't know why OBS did it, but somewhere in the settings, it changed my source for my microphone. And that's okay. That's just one of those things. So now we're back. Everything's good. We're live. It'll just take a second for it to catch up. And don't worry about it. Everything's good. There we go. Okay. Now see what happened was OBS decided to change its settings. We don't really know why. It's one of those gremlins. You get ready for showtime. You come, sit down, turn the mic on just like you've always done 1,000, 2,000 times before. And all of a sudden, there's no sound. So I hope the chat, yes, okay, we're fine. There we go. Fine on iHeart. Everything's good. Yes, we are on iHeart because we're streaming through the Truth Frequency Radio Network on Skype. That never disconnected. I'm talking about OBS on all the video streaming. So we're good now. Everything is fine. Everything is worked out. Thank you, Life of Brian. Super chat works. Everything's good. We're live on DLive and Twitter and Facebook and Twitch. And yes, YouTube. And we cannot forget about our friends at Foxhole. So tonight at 8:30, I have a guest. Jason Frank is coming on the program. And this is not the Jason Frank that you're used to seeing in the movies. This is a different Jason Frank. He is a member of the Patriot Voice and a powerful soul who has been making a difference out there. And I have to tell you that when I went to Dallas at the Patriot Voice, which was put on by a couple of great risk takers, John and Amy, and they put the program together and they brought Michael Flynn down and Sidney Powell and others, and we had this great event. But, I mean, I've been to other events before, and they didn't, sometimes disorganized and sometimes tech issues and things like that. But this was absolutely fabulous. It was just so well put together. All of the intros were well done in film and music, and they kept us all active. And there were 1,000 of us that came from all over the country. And this was, the cheap seats were 500 and the VIP seats were 1,000, and it was completely sold out. And, there were challenges as well with the venue and stuff like that, but we overcame everything. And that's what Patriots do, is we overcome. And Jason Frank is one of those souls that helps feed the collection of consciousnesses that make up the Patriot movement. In case you haven't noticed, it is a movement. It is much bigger than Donald Trump. Donald Trump just unleashed us. He gave us a point of focus. He gave us a voice. He gave us somebody who would stand up and hit back for once. And it energized us. Like he says in his notes, which he posted on his Facebook page, Jason Frank, you can go look that up. He said, Dallas really lifted my spirits as far as realizing how willing and how ready God's army now is. And with that being said, he said, I want to share this vision for the weekend of July 16th and 17th and 18th in Oklahoma City with all of you, because we need your help to be as effective as possible. So instead of just standing at the Capitol for a few hours, in the cold, I might add, because I was there, raising awareness to this satanic evil and the things being done to the children and going back to our busy lives, we're actually going to be spending the weekend together at a KOA, fellowshipping and collectively brainstorming how we're going to go back to our communities throughout Oklahoma and be most effective in this battle. And it is a battle. It is a battlefield. And it takes people that are dedicated to it to make it take ground, to make it take hold. And this is the difficult thing to do. This is the war that we're in. And it's more than a collection of battles. We actually move forward every single day. But some of us can only do this part-time. I come on 8 hours a week. Some people dedicate their lives to it. This is what really makes the movement happen. And it's guys like Jason that make it happen. So he's going to come on at 8:30. And let's see, a couple of the things I need to share with you. Coming up very soon in August on the week of the 26th, 27th, 28th at Mount Shasta. Don't forget about this very special live event. Yes, it's in Mount Shasta. Yes, it's going to be busy, but if you're within 300 miles of Mount Shasta, you need to get there because there are going to be great things happen here. This is, we're coming out of solitary confinement. We're coming out of this tremendous shattering of the middle class. And we're going to need to meet face to face, to put our hearts together, to put our minds together, to put our spirits together, to make this world move again. And it doesn't come by being pushed. It comes by being led. It comes by being led. And that leadership comes from live, face-to-face, hand-to-hand, heart-to-heart meetings with people. So come to Mount Shasta, meet me, Rob, Brad, Laura, others. Greatest speakers in the world are going to be there. And this is the energy you need to take home. And what I need you to do is go to my website, brooksagnew.com, brooksagnew.com, click on the banner. I'm also going to send it on my newsletter, so about 4,000 of you get this twice a week. Click on the banner and get your ticket, okay? That's the thing to do. And once you get your ticket, we'll get you hooked up. We'll get you a place to go. And thank you so much, Freedom, for that donation. I appreciate it very much. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much, all of you in the chat room. All right, we got a little bit of news to get out of the way. We got about 15 minutes, and Jason Frank's going to come on. So one of the strangest stories that I found is kind of a twofer. It happened before, and I didn't say anything about it. Now it's happened again, and I thought, you know what, I better say something about this. There's a cargo ship, not the one that blew up. Everybody got to see that. There's a cargo ship that had once been owned by an Israeli firm, and it was attacked yesterday in the northern Indian Ocean, with speculation running heavy that the attack was carried out by Iran. But it wasn't the kind of attack that you expected. That's the twofer. That's why I brought this up, because it's so strange. It's unclear who's behind the attack. But even more unclear is what kind of weapon was used to attack the Tyndall. Now, Reuters, quoting Israeli's N12 TV channel, reported that the ship may have been struck by a missile. However, no injuries were reported. And the ship was able to continue on its way. According to the Times of Israel, a fire broke out on the ship after it was hit. But it didn't explode. It didn't sink. It didn't have any problems. Israeli defense officials said they believe Iran was behind the attack, according to the Haaretz. The Liberia-flagged Tyndall departed from Jeddah, and if you read the book Charm a Favor, you'll know where Jeddah is. Jeddah's in Saudi Arabia. It's a big port. And it was headed toward Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. The pro-Hezbollah Lebanese TV station Al-Mayadeen reported, according to the Times of Israel. Now, the ship at one time had been owned by Zodiac Maritime, a London-based company belonging to Israeli businessman Eyal Ofer. The vessel was owned by a firm, it said, but had been sold months ago. Following reports in the media, we can confirm that the vessel Sisav Tyndall is not owned or operated by Zodiac Maritime. Now, Haaretz reported that the ship did not fly an Israeli flag, and its crew was not Israeli. No official claim of responsibility has been made, In recent months, Iran and Israel have engaged in a shadow war of attacks on each other's shipping. That's why this is so strange, that we have this shadow war not with military vessels, but preying on each other's shipping vessels. I'm not exactly sure why this is happening and what kind of weaponry is being used. You know how big a shipping container ship is, right? They're like 800 feet long, 700 feet long. They weigh hundreds and hundreds of tons. And these are basically big iron, flotillas, and you just load them up with shipping containers and move them around. So why? And now if we recall, go back a year, you recall 2 U.S. destroyers, destroyers, were T-boned in the South Pacific by freighters. And it wasn't heavy fog, and it wasn't bad weather. It was perfectly clear. And you wonder to yourself, what the heck is going on here? Why are these ships, why doesn't their radar work? Why doesn't their collision warning systems work? Certainly the destroyers should have some kind of system, some bells and alarms that go off and say, hey, something's headed our way at, 10 knots or 20 knots or whatever, and it's on a collision course, right? Take evasive action, fire up the engines, move out of the way. No, 2 U.S. destroyers T-boned. I'm telling you, something is very strange about this. The fact that a weapon or some kind of technology can disable these ships where they can be attacked like this. This is very strange. And I don't know if it's Iranian ships that are doing it, but it seems like there's some trading going on, and we're not hearing a lot of news about it, but I'm connecting the dots. I'm telling you something's going on at sea. And there's some kind of technology out there that's being used. And the attacks have not all been one-sided. Israel is suspected of attacking several dozen Iranian oil tankers, and they're enormous. And who wants an oil spill at sea on your hands? Really? And an Iranian container ship that was attacked in the Mediterranean Sea. This is, we had what started World War I, the sinking of the Lusitania, which was basically a shipping vessel, right? And this is what they're trying to do. This is what they're trying to manipulate. What is that, Scott? You say, hi all, will be listening but may not be looking at the screen. Well, that's okay. That's okay. It's basically an audio program. We just cloned it onto video because it's the trend. For 10 years, we just did audio. We were live on the radio. And then because of the great example set by our predecessor, Rush Limbaugh, who started podcasting, invented podcasting. He called it the Ditto Cam. You remember that? Didn't have it on all the time, just sometimes. And what he noticed was that his ratings would go up when people could actually watch him broadcast. So something about a couple of cameras, him being able to look you in the eye and speak, and people were willing to pay a premium for it, and podcasting was born. Rush Limbaugh invented podcasting, at least on a video format. So that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to emulate that, and we tried to bring you a good, clean video with a good setup and try to make it all blend together and sound good. All right, one more item, and then we're going to bring Jason Frank on, is how to win this battle that seems to be going on in our schools. Of course, the schools have been shut down as part of this made-for-TV virus world campaign to try to smash the Trump economy and bring the middle class to its knees. And part of that was the requirement to shut down all forms of schools. And in that, we had the teachers' unions amass a tremendous amount of power, because during this a period of poverty and devastation swung at the middle class directly with a cudgel, the teachers' unions became very politically powerful because they were organized, they were still communicating, and they were focused on one thing and one thing only, and that was getting Donald Trump out of office. And you could say whatever you want. That was the mission, and they accomplished it. They accomplished it. I don't care how they did it. Whatever they did in your state, we saw it happen in Kentucky as well. All the Republicans won down the ballot as far as you could go, but the governor lost. And we saw exactly the same thing happen. The teachers' unions mobilized, and 200,000 people checked all Republicans and never voted for governor. That's a weird thing, but it did happen. So the school boards have been asserting themselves in pushing what's called critical racist theory. Now, if you don't know what critical racist theory is, it is just that. It is what it says. Critical racist theory is a system of establishing institutional racism because it's critical to the position of the Democrat Party. That's what it's about. I summed it up in 25 words. And you know that only about 5 to 10% of the people in any school district actually vote in school board elections across the country. It's bad. I mean, because nobody cares about it. It's not a big paying position. It does require time. It does require dedication. It does require research, and it isn't a particularly powerful position in any county, that runs a school district. It's not a particularly powerful. What do you get to choose? The textbooks. You get to talk about budgets and school buses and, salaries, and it's boring stuff. Who wants that job? It's like, anyone who wants it, please step forward. And you see the whole line take one step backward, and 6 or 7 people are left in front, and they end up being members of the school board. That's what it's like. And there are empty seats, and there are uncontested candidates, some of whom need to be kicked to the curb. How is it possible that we have over 56.6 million children attending school in the United States with only 5 to 10% of parents participating in the election of the people who hold the highest power over the education? Or let's just be honest, it's indoctrination. It's beyond me. I was active in the school board. Of course, I had a kid in every school in the county. But the homeschooling rate, as a result of the made-for-TV virus and this entire pandemic, has increased 4 to 5-fold over the past year. Some parents aren't in a situation that allows them to homeschool just yet. Both parents work. Single parents, with that parent working, it just can't be done. And yet their children remain in public schools. And the future generations are going to be so badly indoctrinated. Look what 2 generations of public schools have done to patriotism with people under 30. It's insane. And if parents don't put a stop to this now, that is exactly what's happening. So people asked me, what do we do? Well, nearly 14,000 school boards all over the country, that's a lot. That's a lot. And 3 out of 4 states hold school board elections off cycle. So they're not even like with the president. They're not even like with the governor. So they don't take place at the same time as other state and federal elections. And that's probably intentional because they don't want you looking. But clearly, this needs to change. And you need to change it. So basically, from the last week of April 2020 to the first week of October 2020, families pulling their children out of public schools to homeschool more than double. That's a 100% increase, which sits at nearly 4 times the overall average, and black children being homeschooled increased by 5 times, 500%. It went from 3.3% of students pre-pandemic all the way to 16.1% for black children. And you know what? They're getting a better education. They're passing standard exams. And this is what parents are doing to retaliate against these school boards. On average, 8% of teachers leave their profession every single year. And in a national survey done by Education Week Research, 54% of teachers said they are somewhat or likely to leave their positions in the next 2 years. It's been demoralized, the entire education system. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to be part of this attack on patriots. And we're going to talk more about this after our interview with Jason Frank. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. I'm going to try and get set up through my Skype so I can have some video with him. And if you'll give me a couple minutes, I will take care of that. So let's see if we can add Jason Frank, see what Skype is going to do, if it's going to behave itself or not. We'll see. Here we go. We're going to add him. Right. And he should be called right now. He says, calling Jason Frank. The wonder of technology. Truth Frequency Radio Network is going to go on a break here in just a second, and Jason Frank is with us. So you guys hang with us through the commercials. They're going to start here in about, let me check the TFR clock. Oh, we should already be in their commercials. They should already be running. I don't even hear them. So that is very strange. All right, let me see if I can activate Jason Frank. I can hear Jason Frank. He's out there. So let me see if I can add an NDI. Let's see. Hang on a second. I got to add an NDI source. There we go. Go. Right. Give me a second, Jason. I will be able to click you in. If you have your camera on.
Can you hear me? Mic check good?
Yes, I can hear you fine. There we go. I can see the screen coming in now. Second here and get the Skype image going here. And I don't know. Is your camera on?
No, I'm having an issue. Might be the service, so.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Let's just do audio then. That's just fine with me. That way,
Okay.
we can do it that way. I don't know why Truth Frequency is not running their commercials right now, but we'll just go forward with it. So I have your name on the screen, and tell us where you are right now.
I am on a little family farm in southwest Oklahoma, out kind of by Altus, Oklahoma, about 45 minutes Texas border.
Wow, I know exactly where that
Drove out
is.
to the mailboxes. Yeah, I drove out to the mailboxes so I could get service. So I'm sitting in my truck to be exact.
So sitting out there in that, what is it, 100 degrees out there?
It is 92. The humidity was a little rough today, but it's not too bad. Not too bad.
Not too bad. I was in Dallas 2018 from May until October. So it can get a little toasty in that part of the country.
Yes, it can. That's all right. I came from Vegas. I'm born and raised out there, so I'm used to heat.
Yeah, that's a different heat, though. That heat, sweating actually works.
Yeah, this humidity is something else. I tell you, man, I've been working on this trailer just nonstop. And, there's some days, Brooks, where, I'm changing outfits times a day just so I, can keep working.
Sure. So I met you at the Patriot Voice, which was an event in Dallas, actually over Memorial Day weekend, and General Flynn was there, and Sidney Powell was there. I was surprised at how many great podcasters were there. Zach Payne was there with Red Pill 78, and Kate Awakening, who had a huge show on YouTube. And then about, I think it was about October, there was an enormous purge in YouTube, and they dumped almost all these hosts off of YouTube, and millions, almost tens of millions of listeners lost their voice. They lost the Patriot voice. And I was amazed that when John and Amy put this event together, that patriots came from all over the country and supported it. And this was not a free event. You know, it was $500 for the cheap seats and $1,000 for the premium seats, and they sold out. And you were one of the speakers. So tell us what you presented at the Patriot Voice, and tell us how you felt when you got there and you saw all these people, how they responded.
Oh man. Well, before it gets all emotional, let's say Zach, as a matter, talking about Red Pill 78. Zach, he wanted me to tell you hi. I spoke with him today, so he just wanted me to give you a shout out. So I wanted to remember to do that. I set an alarm actually. Sure, I did that. So he wanted to say hello, but man, what it was such a beautiful experience, Brooks. First of all, like you had said, a lot of people have been deplatformed, and there's a lot going on right now. And, with a lot of stuff's going on behind the scenes that if you're not kind of privy to where to search for your information and how to get that and, coming to informed decisions and pretty much tapped out all the new mainstream media, then it's hard for you to see. But there's a lot of stuff moving behind the scenes, right? But there's still there was a lot of, up until that point, I think a lot of people were kind of like gut punched, right? Like not understanding how all that stuff went down. And, so it was so needed in the Patriot community. And them two, they put on that event, and man, what a beautiful event. They killed it, right? Like there was so many people there, and through that whole weekend, there wasn't one hiccup. There was so much love, so much patriot, so much enthusiasm. And, I don't know about you, but pretty much everybody I've spoke to since then, one of the biggest takeaways was that people were so excited and wait to get back to their community and participate, right? And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
listening to your show a little bit, and you were talking about participating in community. It doesn't matter what our favorite anon, the 17th letter of the alphabet, does. It doesn't matter what Trump does. If we're not willing to hold these people accountable and participate in this community, then it's all irrelevant because it's all going to be the same, right?
Yeah, I
So
remember.
it was really nice to hear you talk about that.
Well, I remember listening to Newt Gingrich. He was talking. It was after Newt had dropped out, and it was still in the primaries. And Trump was having these rallies. He was going out and meeting with the people. And President Trump, then it was candidate Trump, said, "Newt, why don't you come with us to one of these rallies? Because you're not going to believe it. It's a movement." And Newt, he's been in politics since he was a teenager. He walked out on that stage, and he was blown away by the energy, by the people, by the solidarity of all these patriots who had been silent for a long time, for 30, 40 years. They had been silent, working their jobs, walking behind their plows, keeping their head down, being patient. And now they had a leader's voice, and they were responding. And I recall hearing how surprised Newt was that this wasn't a candidate, it wasn't a presidency, it was a movement. And that's what I saw in Dallas.
Yeah, and I got to experience that firsthand. I didn't even vote. I never voted in my life until Trump's second term, and come to find out, my vote didn't even count. They cheated out of that in
Yeah.
Texas. But I never believed in the system, right? I don't believe in politics because it's gotten so far away from people, right? They're supposed to be holding these positions and using their voice, taking back what community and what the people want, and bringing that to their, and they haven't done that in so long. So I was so disconnected from that system. Trump, when he ran and he won that first time, I thought it would be, pretty cool, be a little different, someone to shake it up. And I wanted to see if his feet moved the way his mouth did, right? And so I waited and I watched him for years. I started participating, and I had the same experience as Newt did. I went to a rally, and my first rally was, and what a beautiful rally that was. And I was wearing my Q shirt and ended up carrying the World War II vet. But what I saw there was that there was so much love. It didn't matter what color you were, it didn't matter what race, religion, if you were gay, straight, none of them labels mattered. It's all about patriotism. People would show up. See, I got there early because I drove down from Vegas, and so I was camping out at night, and it didn't matter who showed up, Brooks. If they were tired and didn't have somewhere to sleep, people were offering up their tents, their chairs, their sleeping bags. People were driving by, dropping off pizza there, and just wanted to support. And it was so much bigger. It was about the people. It was a movement, man. And yes, I get excited. It's huge. And and I say, when people ask me what happened, why isn't Trump there? You know what? He coming back, and it really doesn't matter to me, because here the answer. Trump and gave us the template, Brooks. He showed us how the power of the people. He showed us how to research. They showed us how to follow the information. They showed us how to discern everything and not trust anybody, right? And get as course as possible. They gave us this template and reminded us that the power's in us. It wasn't in Trump. He held that spot, and he held it. He kept us safe in that, right? You look across around the rest of the world as Trump was in there, and this was fun, and they're fighting tyranny, and they're all in their countries, and they got American flags and Trump flags higher than their flags, right? Because if America falls, the rest of the world falls. And here's Trump. Had somebody in office to give us that safety, right? We didn't have to worry about in Hong Kong and all these other places where we were able to start using our voice and getting strong. And now, whatever you want to call this administration that's in there, whether it's just a president of this illegal corporation that we're part of, or whatever it is, people, we were reminded, and now we know how powerful we are, right? And so exciting to see us come together on so many different levels.
Well, here's the thing that gets me. We kind of suspected that all of these evil players were behind the scenes, but we really didn't know, and we really didn't have anybody in any party that would come out and actually challenge them. Everybody kind of went along to go along to, they just wanted to keep getting reelected. That's what it was all about. So Trump came along, and because he didn't want to run for a long time because he just said politics is just too mean for him. But then he made the decision, and he decided to run, and he didn't back out, and he didn't let off. And what happened was all of these characters that we have been putting up with most of our lives, and I call them characters for a reason, they had to lay their masks down, and they had to pick up their battle axes, and they had to come out in the street and fight Trump. And we got to see them for who they really are. And that's what, that's what Trump really did for us. But he never gave up. And he still hasn't given up. And that is what inspires us, because he didn't quit.
Yes, and he didn't tell us everything, Brooks. He let it play it out, and we got to see it for ourselves, even all the way down to the Supreme Court with the votes, the election, right? We got to see the FBI, not because he told us, but we got to read what Comey and everything that happened with General Flynn, and we got to see how all these characters, because this is the greatest movie ever played. I mean, it's so exciting. So I'm just so humbled and honored to be part of it, right? And to be in it. They're gonna write books about these times for thousands, right? And some of us are participating in the destruction of the old guard. And it is beautiful, man. And Trump, man, I love him for and I can't wait for, when all this is over. I'm gonna be sitting down with him one day eating dinner. I know he's a busy man right now, but meet him and thank him. when I met Don Jr., in Phoenix when he came down and brought us in, and he was teared up and he wanted to thank us, Larry and I, and tell us that how proud he was. I looked at him and I told him, least we can do. Millions of us know sacrifices that you and your family are making for the country and people right now. And that's the least we can do. Right. And I just wanted to honor that and the authenticity and to see be that close and know they have a lot of info, right? They they know exactly, so do some of us, but without that validation, right? But to be in that position, we know it's a spiritual battle. We know all the stuff that's going on. But to, like you said, take all them arrows for no matter what. Like their whole family beat down, beat up the whole time, right? And it wasn't that they were after Trump. They were after us, standing for. And I'm so grateful, appreciative of that whole family and sacrifices they've made, right? Along with General, along with City Hall, along with these people on a big scale who have said, you know what, I don't care, I'm coming out, and this is, I'm going to stand for something so the rest of us don't fall for anything. That's not easy, and it's a lot easier now, but it wasn't. We all have that, and you've been doing radio for a very long time and been woke for a very long time. For me, it's all within the last 3 or 4 years. So we lose relationships, lose loved ones, family. When we decide to stand for something, because it's so uncomfortable for people, and for our reality to be true, that means whole existence they've been duped. And it's a lot easier for people to, kick us to the curb instead of look at some of that, right? And well,
fact that it used to be because we were all separated. We were all over the country. We were divided up in little communities everywhere. But when we became unified, when President Trump seemed to bring us together and point us in the same direction. That's what leadership does. When that happened, it changed everything. We looked up from our daily jobs when he said the word wall. And that was a major thing. It got us on our feet. And when the press came back at him and said, well, you can't just build a wall. You can't take 11 million illegal aliens in this country and throw them out of the country. He didn't back off. He said, well, we have laws. And unless you want to change those laws have to be enforced. And once the wall is built, then we can talk about immigration reform, but not until the wall's finished. And that was the most unifying thing I'd ever heard in my life.
Yeah, and how were you, as far as political wise, a little bit of your backstory before Trump came along? Did you believe in politics? Did you support it? I mean,
not really.
Were you pretty much under the understanding that everything was infiltrated by evil a long time ago and there weren't no labels?
Yeah, I have to say, when I got on the air way back in 2005, I wasn't involved in politics at all. It was purely a scientific talk radio program. But when Barack Obama got elected, I had to get involved. I had to say, look what's going on to our country. We have been infiltrated by a Marxist, and it's taking its toll on our country. And I have to say, I did get involved in the political science. I didn't really work so much on campaigns until the Convention of States. When I wrote Alienated Nation in 2012, it started this grassroots movement called the Convention of States. And at that time, I sold maybe 20,000 copies of that book, and I gave away, another 500 copies around the country to governors and state senators and trying to get the word out, And now we're 4.5 million people strong, and we have delegates in all 50 states, and everyone pretty much knows what Convention of States is. We just have not got the corrupt state governments to sign the resolution. 34 states, we have 24. We're not there yet. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not sure we can rein in the federal government. I think the agencies, departments, bureaus, and administrations that run our country, make no mistake, that is the government. When you talk about the government, that's what it is. If we don't stop them, we're going to lose everything. We're going to lose our homes. We're going to lose our savings accounts. Thursday, they fired the head of Social Security, and he had a contract for 2 more years. They fired him. Monday morning, they're going to try and take over Social Security. And I don't know what America's going to do when that happens.
And that's part of, I see why I've been, one of the reasons I've been so balls to the wall and decided to fight for this. I see a breakdown of the whole system, right? Everything. And in order to build something new, that's what you have to do, right? Like that movie that was in that Q drop, I forget the name of it, the one where he says, it's going to be biblical. We're going to bring this whole mother down. You know what I mean? And I think it has to be that. Be able to start over and to build, something pure and beautiful again. And the idea of it. I think everything's been infiltrated by evil. I don't think there's no labels left, right? You're either moving closer to God or further away from it. As it plays out.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because that is a good segue. It's clear that we have a virtual Joe in the president's position. He's not really a president. I call him Virtual Joe because he's just not all there. And he's slipping, and he's slipping at an accelerated rate. Now, you know what the Democrats do. It doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter how long they've been in power. When they have reached the end of their usefulness, Democrats get rid of them. And this is what worries me. I find the life of me to figure out what way they're going to use to get rid of Joe Biden. Now, they're not going to use the 25th Amendment because that would weaken them. They're not going to just simply let Kamala Harris take the reins because that would destroy them. I am really afraid they're going to do something drastic, Joe Biden, to galvanize the country. They're going to do some kind of false flag. And I don't even want to come out and say it because it's so terrible. But I woke up a couple days this week with this terrible, foreboding feeling that they're going to do something to end the weakness that they have in the White House. And I don't know if we're ready for it.
What's one of the things that hasn't played out in Bill's book? Alien invasion, right?
Well, that's really off the wall.
I'm waiting for it.
That would be really off the wall.
They keep talking about it, right? I wouldn't put it past them. They keep releasing all this stuff now, and we've known there's been other life, but all of a sudden they're talking about it a bunch. So, I like you said though, I wouldn't put it past. Lieutenant General Flynn was talking about it. I think it was maybe a week and a half ago on a podcast. He's like, same thing. I see him doing a false flag. Maybe not as big as 9/11, but something.
Well, I mean, 9/11, you're going on the right track here. But 9/11, they had a boogeyman, all right? They had Osama bin Laden. They had terror. They had, let's go mount a $1 trillion war. And this was 1991, 2001. Off they went, and we were all for it. I mean, presidential's numbers were off the chart. But this time, what they're trying to do to set up the enemy is us. They're trying to set us up, patriots up, as the enemy. And that scares me. You know, we have 500 political prisoners in prison in Washington, D.C. as we speak. No due process, no bail, no lawyers. They're just in prison, in solitary confinement. This is not the United States of America, something else.
Yes, and there's some, there's some nuggets, and like where I'm at in Oklahoma. I was at the Capitol, right? And the FBI started looking after January, because what had happened was started the New Braunfels Trump train in Texas, same Trump train that escorted the Biden bus out of Texas, right? So
It was
there was
great.
a group. Oh yeah, oh it was beautiful. It was such like a proud dad moment. That was the beginning, and we'll get to talking about that a little later. I have a feeling we'll probably carry this conversation on longer than 30 minutes because we haven't even touched on nothing yet. But you know, so that was the beginning of building and how template where I learned that from. So when they had ran him, out of tech, and I lost that nugget right there, Brooks. Lost that nugget while I was even telling you about Texas.
Well, you were talking about how you ran the Biden bus out of the state of Texas. And what
I know,
happened?
but right before that.
Well, what happened was when January 6th and 5th were
right.
announced.
Okay. So there was a group out there in New Braunfels, Texas called Living Blue in Comal County. It's a Facebook page. And we were being so effective that they decided to start writing this on us, even infiltrating people into the Trump train. Guys would show up dragging BLM flags, and then the city would make this little group to try to tell us we couldn't have our Trump trains out there or anything. So I was live streaming, and I was out there with a couple brothers and my son, and we were coming back to the hotel, and Zach pulled out these flags, and we were talking about these flags we had gotten from the Capitol, right? And then the live stream ended, and he pulled out this big one, put it on the bed. He goes, "I think this one came from inside." So, Living Blue in Comal County just assumed that we had went into the Capitol inside the building and taken these flags. So, up here in Oklahoma, and it was 2 days after inauguration, I get this call. I'm on a roof work, and I get a call from an FBI agent because I'm such and such in the Oklahoma Federal Bureau of Investigations, and I was wondering if you can come down to the office. We wanted to talk to you. And I said, "No disrespect, sir, but no, I won't." I said, "I'll hire an attorney if you want. I'll talk to him, and he'll get in contact with you." I said, "Really?" Yeah, I really don't have a lot of faith in our judicial system and our FBI and our different three-letter agencies right now. Have you not seen what they did to Flynn? Have you not read what Comey and McCabe and all these people were doing with the Russia collusion? Nothing personal against you, but I don't have trust in this now, and I will not come down and talk to you. I said, "I know what this is about." He goes, "Oh, you do?" I said, "Yeah, it's about them flags." Because somebody in Texas, a friend of mine, had called me and said, "Hey, FBI came to my house looking." Right, so a month had went by, 3 weeks, and I knew they were going to get a hold of me. So I said, "You know what, sir?" I said, "I have a video of me asking the cop." I was behind the barricades, and there was a flag on the ground. I asked this cop if he picked up that flag off of the ground during all this. I asked him about 3 or 4 times, and finally he went and picked up the flag. Then he brought it over to me, and he handed it to me. He said, "You have video of this?" "Yeah, I got video of this." "Mind sending it to me?" I said, "No, I'll do that." And I sent it to him, and an hour later he called me and "Thank you. We're done. Our investigation is closed with." So it gave me a little bit of hope, and it might just, in some of these places like Oklahoma and Texas, stronghold, different places where they haven't infiltrated so much. but it was enough for me to say, okay. But I see a lot of these patriots from January 6th that are getting arrested. But I also saw how they acted, right? And so planned, even myself, right? And I have experience, and I'm gonna tell you, it was hard. I wanted to go inside the Capitol, like I almost fed off of that energy of the people that were planted there to do that, right? But I didn't. It took a lot to not do that. So I could see how a lot of people fed into that and went inside and took pictures and stuff. And then now have a lot of these that are they're good patriots, and like you said, man, they're getting caught up, and they don't have. They're just arresting them.
I was at the complete other end of the pond. I was down by the monument near the ellipse, and I was there all morning, and they didn't have enough porta potties. It was cold as hell. The wind was blowing.
Oh yes.
And it was about 20-minute walk back to the hotel. And I said, you know what? This is over. Trump's finished speaking. People were beginning to move. I said, let's go back to the hotel instead of going down to the Capitol. I think it was a smart decision. And that night, well, it was actually later on that day. It was before it was dark. Inside Edition came to interview. And I'm on the mic with the guy live on camera, and he asks about this assault or this insurrection. They weren't calling it insurrection; they were calling it a riot. They were calling it an attack. And I said,
storming of the Capitol.
The storming, that's what it was. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I never saw any storming. There were 500,000 people there. If we wanted to storm the place, it would have happened. But we didn't storm it. That was all BLM and Antifa. And he kind of played it off. I said, look, we saw them there all day. They were moving around in groups of 5 or 8 or 10, and they couldn't get anything going because there were hundreds of thousands of us there. And they went down to the Capitol on their own, and I believe they changed clothes and did whatever they had to do to smash stuff. There weren't any patriots breaking windows. We were invited.
No, I have all the videos.
So, yeah, and you remember the video of the assassination of Ashley Babbitt. I saw it before the news saw it because the guy that filmed it was at our hotel, and I saw it before I went on Inside Edition. And I said, listen, as far as I know, there's only one person killed, and she was unarmed, and she was assassinated, laid in wait for her, and waited for her to poke her head around the corner, and he shot her point blank dead. And they didn't want to hear that. The guy drew his hand across his neck and had the feed cut, and that was it. They wanted to make it into a riot, a storming. And I said right there on live TV, no, there was no storming. You're wrong. I don't know what you're talking about. And they've just made this narrative ever since. And they're trying to convince the uninformed that it is the patriot that is the threat to America. But it is not. It is absolutely not.
And, I think we're so much bigger than talked about it earlier, silent majority, right? I've traveled across this country a few times in the last couple of years. I was in Vegas, and I've made it important. Facebook is the battlefield that I'm in, right? That's the only social media I'm on. And when I get kicked off, I open a new one, and I keep just getting on there because it's not an echo chamber, right? That's where a lot of the people are that are still lost. So, with that Facebook, I'm tired, man. I lost that nugget too.
Hey, that's okay.
Oh man, I've been working 14-hour days.
Let me bring everybody up to speed. We are streaming live on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. We are also streaming live on Twitch, DLive, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and Foxhole. And what I've done is I have activated the phone lines, and I've posted the phone number up there on the screen. It is 213-233-3998 if you'd like to call in and ask Jason anything, ask me anything. What is coming up in October is round 2 of the Patriot Voice. Now, I have to tell you, I've been to a lot of events. I've been to a lot of political rallies, and they have been successful. I went to the one in Houston. The place was the Toyota Center. It held about 19,000 people. It had 21,500 people in, and there were 15,000 people outside. The aerial shots of Houston that day were unbelievable. As far as I know, there have never been as many people in the streets of Houston as that day. And it was a powerful energy. We were there all night long. I walked all the way around the block on my radio program Sunday night because the rally was on Monday. And I interviewed people from all over the world, from Venezuela, from California, from New York. They were from all over the world there. And it was a fantastic night of celebration. No violence, no protests, everything. We picked up all the trash. We were neat, we were orderly, and it was energetic. Now, the interesting thing about this is that I'm sure a lot of money is raised at these rallies because it just creates its own energy. But when you see these smaller events like the Patriot Voice, and it's not put on by a big institution like the Republican Party or, CPAC or Turning Point or something like that. This was just John and Amy. Just John and Amy. And you think, oh, well, this could be kind of interesting. Well, I'm telling you, it was so well done. Every transition from speaker to speaker to speaker was done with film and music, and the MC was right on the money all day, every day. And it was so professionally, so well done. And I've run these events too myself. It's stressful. You couldn't tell. John and Amy were on top of the world. They were on top of everything. Now, of course, they probably raised, $450,000 after expenses and everything, which is great. It's going to go to a good cause, and a lot of candidates are going to get a boost because of it. But it also allowed them to go right down to Vegas. And guess what's going to happen on October 22nd? Round 2. And this is going to be at Harrah's.
Double down, baby.
That's right. Double down Patriot Voice at Harrah's in Vegas, October 22nd. I've already been looking at rooms. I've already got my plane tickets lined up. As soon as they release the tickets, and I already applied for my press pass this time, we're going. And we're going to be there on the 21st, and we're going to stay all the way till Tuesday. We're going to fly out on Tuesday. So we're going to be interviewing people. We're going to be energizing people, and I hope that they let me on stage and let me speak for 10 or 15. I think I can do a good job. I've been around this movement for a long, long time, and the voice of the revolution is right here on America Free Radio. But if you're anywhere near Vegas, that's the event to go to. And let's do not 1,000, 5,000 people at a time. It's going to be great, Jason. What do you think?
Oh, so John and Amy called me last week, and I can't give away too many details, but one of the places we were looking at, guys, was the Ahern facility. Same Ahern family that during the coronavirus, they canceled Trump, and the Aherns took the fine, and they said, come on, right? Well, that holds about between 2,000 and 3,000 people, and that was too small.
Wow.
Right? So I'm going to give you a little nugget there, right? So we're shooting for, like you said, over 3,000 people. And the place that it's at, where the event's going to be held, they haven't released that yet. I won't be the one to do that. But, man, it is beautiful. And, we had them problems in Dallas with, Gillies, and once we announced the event and how much backlash and everything there was. So what John and Amy did was, when they went down in Vegas and cleared this spot, they made sure that they wanted to talk to the owners, the person head of charge, and they showed them the hit pieces and what happened in Dallas when we announced and we said we were going to be. And they wanted to give them all the information and say, hey, look, we don't want a hiccup at the last bit. So this is what you're up against, guys. And they gladly, we are honored to, and it's going to be big. it's going to be nice. Even the special VIP and the things we got planned, and oh man, it's going to be cool. And it was even if you didn't have that VIP package, like you saw General Flynn stand there for hours, Sidney Powell would stand there for hours. All of the speakers made themselves available as long as the people wanted to talk to them, answer questions, right?
Yes.
So it was it was more than just going to some event and you had all these people that you didn't feel like, you were a part of or you talked to. No, they're no different, right? And that was it. It was so beautiful, that event. I've turned down some things these last few years because I was worried about some of the people that were involved of them in these things, right? One of them was a 60-minute document. Wanted to do the same people that wrote that Above Majestic or Majestic 12, whatever that movie was, and they wanted to tie it in with Austin Steinbart and these other people. And I don't have all the information, but I know there's been a lot of people that didn't really weren't on board with that, right? So, but this Where We Go One, We Go All, this that I wear, this tattoo represents to me. It's not about Jason, it's about the whole, right? So for so long, I've declined certain, right? I turned them down because I could see them turning it into something that wasn't going to be best for the movement.
Right.
Right. So I just decided I wasn't going to participate. This was the first thing when they reached out to me. I know John and Amy. For the last 3-4 years, we've been on Facebook together, and we've been these digital soldiers, and I've got to watch their heart and how their feet walked and different things. It was, I decided when they called me that this was going to be my coming out and that I was going to participate in it. And, it such beautiful people, right? And,
Yeah, absolutely.
everybody that was there made themselves available to everybody.
And that was cool because they could have watched from above. They could have watched from the control tower and not made themselves available to everyone, but they did. And there were a couple of moments that were really magical. One was when they started one of the segments by singing Twisted Sisters, We're Not Going to Take It. Now, it was supposed to be just an intro.
Oh, I've got some backs. Yes, and I'll send you that, and then I'll let you go, but I'll let you continue. I've got some backstage footage of that standing 2 feet from General Flynn when he was watching that video that John and Amy made for him, and then we're up there screaming, and it was so cool. Yes.
It was organic because, it started out like, we're not going to take it, that, and the whole audience stood up and went with it, and they sang the whole song. And it was so energizing. Yeah. It was so powerful. And John and Amy ran up on stage with their phones on stage because it was organic. It was not planned. And they filmed the audience singing it. Well, one of my associates, one of my bodyguards, was next to me and filmed the entire thing. And the recording is phenomenal. It's just rocking. And they put it out on their Facebook, and it went beautifully. But we're going to try and get a copy of that and get it to John and Amy because it caught the whole thing from beginning to end, and they really need to have this in their hands. So that was one thing. It was just so organic. It just gelled. It just happened. And the other,
and I'll trade you videos because I've got a really good one too. And I jumped on stage with them, right? And I lost my voice. That was the day before I spoke. And I'm up there screaming, and I'm so hyped up. And I wake up the next morning, and I have no voice. And this is my first time ever I'm speaking on this platform like this. And I'm freaking out. I had to drink like 8 cups of coffee in the morning just to be able to talk, right? So it worked out good. But, yes, that moment right there, that's why I lost my voice. Beautiful.
By the way, Sherry from Pennsylvania says that, Sherry Pittsburgh says that Caesar's Forum Flamingo was announced on Red Pill 78.
Oh, so he did announce it?
He did announce it. So,
Okay, so yes, guys, it's at the Caesars Forum in their they have not the forum, the mall part, but they have an event center. They just remodeled the whole thing and it holds up to 5,000 people, I
oh
believe.
my
And
gosh.
it's amazing. Oh, it is amazing.
So
So yeah,
where
since
would you
Red, I will
suggest?
say it since Red Pill already did.
Where would you suggest people stay? What resort would they stay at?
So the thing about Vegas, guys, it depends. You have a budget. If you're on a budget, it's okay. Everything is so crammed in Vegas. I was born and raised there, right? So if you need to stay at downtown Vegas, right, at Fremont Street, they've totally redone Fremont Street. They have the Fremont experience. It's not as ghetto as it was. They have the arts district and everything else there. You can cat bus down there. Like you can get down in 30 minutes down the strip as long as it's not, at 5 o'clock at night or something like that. You'll have to time it right. And the thing about this, these events go on all day long. So you can stay anywhere on the strip there, whatever fits with financial budget. If you want to be really close, you've got Caesars, you've got Harrah's, you've got, the Tropicana, anything close to that right there. But it's all in walking distance. Strip of Las Vegas, and it's only a couple miles long, if that,
Yeah.
all the way down to the downtown.
So if you're on a real budget, you can stay at the Luxor, and if you've got the money, you could stay at Harrah's. Of course, if with plane tickets and everything, you're going to be dropping about 3 large. But you get a room with 2 beds, get 4 people, split it up. It's doable. And I don't know, the tickets haven't been announced yet, but as soon as they are, I'll put them on my website as well. By the way, Trump just finished at CPAC, and I'm trying to, I get some feelers out to see how did he do, what was his speech like. I don't have any clips or anything like that, but I was going to tell you the other event that surprised me. It was actually a 2-punch. One really took me back because I have to admit some preconceptions. But when George Papadopoulos came out and told his story, I was floored. I was blown away at the corruption that was aimed by the intelligence community at the Trump campaign. But I was even more impressed with the adeptness, the awareness, the situational awareness of George Papadopoulos. Somebody sticks $10,000 in your pocket and pumps you up like you're the best thing since the best star they've ever seen, and they're gonna put everything behind you. And he saw through it, and he left the 10 grand with his attorney. And when they stopped him at the airport, they searched him for the $10,000. They knew exactly what they were trying to do. They were setting him up. And the other one was right after him. I think, for my money, was the best speaker at the event. And I heard them all. Was Juanita Broderick. Was she not fantastic or what?
Oh man, I've heard her story, and I was at that Vegas Palooza, out there in Vegas right after the Phoenix rally. It was like a couple months after. I got to meet her, and her heart. What a beautiful woman that is, right? There's so much authenticity.
Yeah.
It's not about her, right? And the way she came out and how long she held on to that story, and the things she had to go through to get that out. Another fresh reminder of why, like, I'm going to be as vocal as possible and stand up for something, because the people like her have paved the way, folks. Like, how to think, be in that situation and to share that, and then
Well, you had
what
Juanita
happened
Broderick,
to
and
her.
you had Paula Jones, and you had some women who didn't live through it. We had the city attorney, or was it one? It was the district attorney's office. She ended up drilled in the back of the head in the middle of the woods. They executed her, and she was pregnant.
Yeah, just like all those York police detectives that saw the Anthony laptop. They've all been killeried. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't got nothing to do with Bill. Like, this is so much, and that's what, Q had taught us, and to follow the wives and to look at them, right? They're disgusting, and they're evil people, and the things that they had done to her, and when she came out and said that, like, I love her to death. What an angel she is.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just had a caller pop on from New York. Let's. You want to take a call?
Yeah, take a call. Don't let me get into Operation #Operation 1009 too. I got to share that with you guys.
Oh yeah,
tonight.
yeah, yeah.
And
I want to
this
see.
back.
I want to hear
Yes,
about that.
this nugget I got from Dallas. How I was going to participate in this. Yeah, let's take a caller.
All right, here we go.
You got me all night, Brooke. Get tired of me, buddy.
All right, New York, you're on the line. What's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. What's on your mind? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Not much. I was just in Oregon. We were at East City Ranch, and I was looking at through night vision goggles at some orbs flying through the sky. And was that these could be satellites. I know there's a lot more satellites out there, spy satellites, and but one of them was blinking, like it was just flashing light at it.
Yeah.
And then it seemed to like power up and then die out. I want to know.
I spoke at the East City Ranch for 6 years, from 2005 to 2006 to 2012. And I got to tell you, I love James Gilliland. I love what he does with the ranch. I love the whole crowd out there, the whole energy. Alara of Sirius is out there speaking this year, and she's a fantastic new face in this movement, and she's bringing some great things to the table. I love the energy out there. And, if you go out there and you get the night vision goggles and look up, you're going to be blown away. I mean, there's no place in the country that's active as Trout Lake, Washington. Ever get a chance, you need to look up ECETI. That's ECETI, ECETI.com, and go to one of the events out there. There's 3 or 4 of them a year, and you need to go out there and just like, is your first name Darian?
Yes.
Darian is exactly right, and you will not be disappointed. Once it hits about 9:30 at night, when it gets fairly dark out there, the ships that come over that place will blow you away. Now, here's what'll blow you away. I think it was 2010. We took pictures of ships outside of Mount Adams in the daytime. They showed up on our digital cameras, but we couldn't see them with the naked eye. And it was incredible. And we duplicated it with 2 different brands of cameras, 2 different resolution. And we shot the pictures at the same time and got the ship in the same location. Now, that is real science. So
wow.
it is a hot spot up there, no doubt about it.
Yeah, the energy is really nice. Beautiful place. Mount Adams, just beautiful. Sorry about this.
Well, I appreciate the call. So. Appreciate the call, Darren. Keep listening if you want to. My guest tonight is Jason Frank, and he comes to us from almost to Texas. He's in Oklahoma, out by the mailboxes. You know where that is. And we've been talking about the Patriot Voice event in Dallas, Texas, and round 2 is going to happen in Vegas in October. But if you go to his Facebook page, Jason Frank's Facebook page, it's well written, and there's a lot out there. And he has on his website something called #1009 or 1009. So I want you to tell us about that. What is the project? How's it coming? And how can we help? Operation 1009.
So, #Operation 1009. I left Dallas, and well, not when I left, but when I came off that stage, I was wearing the hashtag Operation 1009 Save Our Children t-shirt and hat. And the way the people resonated with the message shared, had made a decision then that I wasn't going to make it about Jason Frank. I was going to take this platform and I was going to make it about the kids, right? Because at the end of the day, everything else is a distraction from what they're doing to these kids. The satanic ritual abuse, human trafficking, MK Ultra, everything that has infiltrated in. So as I came off that stage, we had decided, I've got some friends that we've been standing up, raising awareness in community, sharing this uncomfortable information, and standing at the Capitol squares and holding signs and themselves events, talking about drag queen hour and known pedophiles that were reading stories to kids in libraries that we were paying for through our taxes and at schools and stuff like that over these last few years. So hashtag Operation 1009 decided we're going to become a nonprofit 501c3. And we have already been approved. Okay, so these are the things, and things I was talking about from Dallas. Not only me, like the people that were there, plus the speakers from that event, we have taken what we got from that event spiritually, and we started making moves. Same with Alan Fountain and how he started his organization and different things. All this originated from Dallas. So it's all brand new. We're working on a mission statement right now that we're going to put on the website, but I'm going to read one to you guys right now. That is, we got about 3 or 4 we're getting ready to choose from. The website should be done by Thursday, and it says, it is our duty to find, remove, and eliminate all parasites that are operating within the child safety industries across our planet. Through the smoke and mirrors of human trafficking that often hides behind the protection of blue tape, our primary objective will transparently identify, isolate, and remove all cancerous affiliates that plague our existence, while building systems that serve the rights and equality of the people, our children, and our future. Our goal will require your participation. Powered by the people. Together we will save our children. Together we will end human trafficking. 1009 from the beginning to the end. CR1. Hashtag Operation 1009.
Okay.
If you search hashtag
let me do this. Let me do this just live tonight, or if you're listening to this as an archive. If you go to my website at americafreeradio.com, you'll see there's a Patreon there, there's PayPal there, there's lots of ways to make donations. And I don't know if you guys have your donations set up yet or not, but I'm going to do this. If you want to make donations to the program tonight and use hashtag Operation 1009, 100% of the money will go to Jason Frank when he gets his account set up, right? Just do that tonight. If you're listening to it as an archive, you can keep sending the money in, and I'll make an announcement that you can stop and put his official donation sites up. It's difficult to put out all the other pay sites. We could do Venmo, we could do Zelle, we could do Stripe, blah, 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 blah. But for tonight, for this program, just put all the money you want to on and make sure it's hashtag Operation 1009, and we'll make sure it all gets to Jason. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps.
And I appreciate, yes, it does. And I appreciate you guys out there. And, it's going to be, not only we're kicking off our first event, okay, is this weekend coming up in Oklahoma City, guys. Not only are in this, I'm going to share some of the intent of hashtag Operation 1009 with you. Not only are we going to be that voice that makes it real uncomfortable for people to keep doing what they've been doing, right? Because we're going to shine light on them. Remember, the dark can't survive in the light.
Right on.
That's what Trump was so great about. So we're going to stand out there And we're going to share this information from a loving place because that's what's most effective. It's not my job to judge them, right? I'm just going to share information, and built this template over these last few years. So we're going to Oklahoma City. And what we've done is we've taken all these contacts. So not only are we going to be that voice for victims, okay, but we're going to get out there. We got for the whole weekend, guys, we've got about 6 cabins at a KOA resort, and we're going to fellowship. We're going to get together Friday night. We're going to make signs together. I'm going to share information of, what the intent is, how we're going to proceed over the weekend, what we'd like to see, because we have experience in this in our communities of getting out there every week, holding signs that talk about Pizzagate, that talk about satanic ritual, that talk about human trafficking, all this stuff that's very uncomfortable to talk about. So we're going to make the signs, and we're going to go stand together Saturday morning at the Capitol in Oklahoma City. Anybody that's close enough, if I got people coming down from Texas, you guys want to come out this week, you're more than welcome. After we stand there with the signs, we're going to go back to this KOA, and we're going to spend the weekend together. We're going to collectively come up with how we're going to be most effective in our communities around Oklahoma. We're going to start building that family. We're going to start learning and teaching each other how to participate in something. See, we're taking all these contacts. We've got people that are now willing, and I learned this from Dallas, and that's why we've steamrolled this into the nonprofit 501c. You got people that want to participate in CPS. You got people that want to participate in the school boards. You got people that want to participate in their local government and different things, because like General Flynn talked about, local action creates national impaction, right? Like, you have to be involved locally. We have to be involved in our school. We have to be involved in this stuff. So we're going to give the template, and hashtag Operation 1009 is going to be a nationwide company. We're up chapters across the United States, and we want to come to every country with every state within the country within the next year, spend a weekend with you guys and encourage you and build that up and take all of our resources and give them to you guys that are in your communities so you can fight and you have that team to fight with.
No place for them to hide.
Yes, and not only are we doing that, but we're creating, and that's where the funding's going to come from. That's why we decided to be a nonprofit 501. Koya just announced Friday, bro, $2 million to fight human trafficking. Like, this is the real pandemic, right? So we're going to take that. We're going to make emergency shelters. We're going to get housing set up. We want to heal these people through this, whatever that looks like. But whatever kind of counseling, whatever kind of doctor, whatever that looks like, we don't know, right? This is the destruction of the old guard that some of us are witnessing and some of us are participating in, and there's no template. So we don't know what that's going to look like yet, but we want to not only be the beginning of that process, but we want to be the end for the victim to be there, whether that's spiritually, whether that's emotionally, whether it's physically, however we need to help them heal, we're going to do that, right? Yeah. So we are a legit thing right now. There's all kinds of stuff, guys, and Brooks will drop the link tree and, the Facebook post, and we need you guys to participate. We need the community, right? These last couple years, we've been training for this. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take people like Brooks. My strong suit is the community. Yours might be the research. Brooks is the radio station. We have to bring all that together, collectively be the most effective as possible. Even if that, some people that's financially, some people that's taking all your resources in your community, but we need everybody, and we all have a gift, and we're all very valuable. We're going to find that together, and what hashtag Operation 1009 has decided to, make ourselves available for time, because it's not about us, it's about community, about the kids.
Right on.
Right, and when you learn this information about the kids, Brooks, like, I don't know about you, but the only way I can sleep a little bit at night without crying myself this participating in eradicating this evil.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick and disturbing, the shit that's been going on.
It is, and we
the only
have
thing that's
we have laptops full of evidence that the FBI will not pay any attention to. We've got Hunter Biden's laptop, we got Anthony Weiner's laptop, we got databases full of crimes that have been done by these people, and they're not going to walk free anymore. So my guest is Jason Frank. Let me bring another caller on from out in Seattle. Great intellect. Dan, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Well, before I got to say, Jason, thank you for what you're doing. I originally called up saying, hey, how do you encourage us that live out here in commie land? Well, we can't get to the rallies, but quite frankly, after listening to you talk about your purpose in Operation 1009, I know what I need to do to be encouraged, which is get involved in that and do what I can in my community to raise money and send it to a good place and get it to good people. So my original question was, how do you encourage us that can't get to Patriot rallies? Because there are none out here. But God bless you, man. You just encouraged the hell out of me. And I feel like just hearing you did all I needed tonight to know what my purpose is.
What was your name?
This is Dan from Seattle.
My name's Dan. They know me on board as Old Dog.
I'm going to give you another nugget. I'm going to give you guys my phone number. You can reach out to me. But we have a beautiful friend of mine right outside of Seattle. He's already started the hashtag 1009 chapter out there, right? So you have something. And
you sure you want to give out your phone number? Because about 20,000 people are going to have it.
Here's the thing. The first time I did, I was on Red Pill 78 when we talked about some stuff, and the effectiveness of that. I didn't even know what doxing was, right? I was so new at this, and all I knew was I was going to fight for this, and it didn't matter. I was very irresponsible in the beginning, and so I did a show with Red Pill a couple years ago, and I gave my phone number out, and for those of you guys, it's 702. 281-4227. 702-281-4227. And I'm going to get you in contact, Dan, with the Operation 1009 chapter out there. And you can start fighting. But the effectiveness of that, Brooke, started building a community in Las Vegas. And that's what we need, right? We need each other. We have to have each other together. I know I have to have you guys together. Whether that's the emotional support, whether that's the prayers. I mean, there's so many different levels that the only reason I can do what I'm doing and what I've been doing these last 3 years is because all of you guys, right? And that's the beauty of where we go one, we go all, right? Is we collectively participate in something. See, I was telling Brooks earlier, Dan, I don't understand. I don't watch TV no more. I don't watch videos. I don't even watch my friends on these shows. The only time I'm on these shows is when I'm doing a live cast, right? Because my gift, where I'm strongest at, is in community and participation, right? Because I was in prison my whole life and just training and I don't know computers. I don't know all that stuff. So I don't need to know the information. I feel it. I know what's going on. So I focus on community. So we're all so valuable. Soon as we can learn to harness that, like our energy, Tesla told us, universe, guys, energy, vibrations, and frequencies. Your energy is so valuable, right?
Yep.
And when we can give that and tap into that, like what a beautiful thing this is. So, Dan, I'm excited to get to know you, man. I hope you wrote down the number. If not, you can rewind it and find it. Yes.
Yeah, and I just booked my flight to Vegas. I'll shake your hand when I see you in October.
There you go.
I give hugs,
there you go.
Brother. I don't shake hands. I give hugs.
All right.
And the money's already starting to come in. The money's already starting to come in. So are the donations. Baba Susie's contributed. Stoker has contributed, and there'll be more before the night is out. Dan, thanks so much for the call. So,
thank you, Dan. I look forward to hearing from you, man.
Oh yeah, Dan's an imposing figure. You won't miss him. He got a great energy, a great smile, and a great presence. So I want to talk a little bit more about the direction that the movement is going, because Trump is being very smart right now. President Trump is doing something that he didn't do so much in the original campaign. He's beginning to use his surrogates. And by that, I mean the General Flynn's, the Sidney Powell's, the Jason Franks, the surrogates, people who are steeped in the patriot movement, in what we call the America First movement. We believe in America. We would do anything for America, including lay down our lives, but you hope that's not necessary. We have been divided up, chopped up into little pieces since Barack Obama was elected in 2008. And that dividing up of America, dividing up of the House of America, and then turning the different divisions against one another, especially with this critical racist theory, which is a theory that makes it their whole core of critical racist theory is to make people focus on the color of their skin. And then to make this, once this division is formed, like, hey, I look different than you, is to make us hate each other and make us distrust each other and doubt each other. And it is having its effect. It's even having an effect on people who are in my generation. And we want it to stop. We want this to stop. And the only way to do it is to remelt the pot, is to put everybody that was once an American back into America. So that's why it's called America First. We're not about raising money for other countries. We're not about building walls in other nations. We're not about building pipelines in other nations. It's America First. Because if America leads, if America's doing well, the whole world does well. Because we are a generous and loving and inclusive people. That's what founded our country. That's what made us what we are. When we can own the works of our own hands and make a surplus and then sell or share that with others, that is what makes America great. But when government itself becomes big, when it becomes powerful, when it begins to be unafraid of the people, then tyranny sets in. And we're seeing it. Look what Nancy Pelosi and her husband did right before the announcement that the Pentagon was going to use Amazon as one of its major suppliers. They bought call options. Which basically is you could take a little bit of money and leverage it into huge returns because they had inside information. We're tired of the people inside our government working the system this way, and we're going to get rid of them. Now, I understand the focus of Trump's talk tonight at CPAC was to make the people focus on the Senate race and the congressional race. Now, he can't, introduce all the candidates, but what he's trying to do is make us aware that what we need is not a slight margin. We need a huge margin, 30, 40%. And, every 2 years, we could fire all of Congress if we wanted to. And I highly recommend that we fire every single Democrat in office, all of them. Just let them start over. Get rid of Pelosi, get rid of Maxine Waters, get rid of Adam Schiff, get rid of all of them and start over again. If you can't find good Democrats to represent you in your state, you got a big problem. But we need to get rid of them and vote every one of them out of office, or we're going to lose this country.
Yes, and I think we did that a long time ago, Brooke. Voting that went through the presidential election, same voting system that these guys have been keeping power.
Oh, ballots are us. Yeah, I'm fully aware of that.
Keep the people divided. They will never realize their power. Right? And that was Trump did that, and he's so good about reminding us that, us regular average, that we hold the power, right? Why do you think they call them 3%ers? It only took 3%. It's very simple against this 1% of people, right? So all these people that are sleeping, that's okay. We only need 3%, guys, and we're there. I remember when, I don't know, I haven't, like I said, I don't listen to shows and stuff, and I just met you in Dallas, so I don't know your audience, their perception of greatest military intelligence operation that was ever divulged people, which is Q, right? There's a difference between Q and QAnon. QAnon's the individual, Q is the entity. Military intelligence, that shared information, but they're so powerful. Trump did that. A little old guy like me, Brooks, 7-time convicted felon, went to prison 3 times, did methamphetamine for 22 years, Las Vegas. Right? I'm an old dope fiend, guys. Like, it was always about Jason. And this movement, right? Q movement. I went to Phoenix.
You don't have to tell your whole story. You don't have to tell your whole story if you don't want to.
A little bit. Tell a little bit about Trump and this military intelligence operation.
By the way, big shout out to Life of Brian. Another big slug of money has come in, so you're doing well. Keep going.
Thank you, Life of Brian. Love you, brother. So, I went to Phoenix, and I was just there, and I was grateful to be there. And if you guys remember Phoenix rally where the World War II vet was carried to his feet, that was me and Larry. It was God. I got out of the way, and the way things lined up. I was in a position. I was walking up to the snack bar, and this little old man, Irvin, passed away now. And I got to carry his ashes at Air Force Base. He fell into me as I was walking up the stairs, and I asked him if he needed help. He said, yeah, he could use a little bit of help. And so me and Larry, fireman, locked our arms up, and I didn't know he was a World War II vet, and I didn't know he was sitting in the VIP. But I was wearing my Q shirt. And on the front, it says, "We are Q," and on the back, it says 17, "Where we go one, we go all." This is the same night that Bernie Sanders had a rally, and you talked about this earlier, Brooks. That 2 guys that were there to see Bernie were fighting. Okay, same exact night. They're fighting each other, the same people. And here we are. I pick up this old man. I'm carrying him to a seat, and the whole crowd starts erupting. They're chanting USA. I was so humbled and just grateful to be of service to the community and you guys. And I wasn't worried about Jason anymore. And I started crying, carrying this all out of gratitude. Here's a gratitude. Harry and Irvin. Harry Lake catches it from Fox, catches it on a 40-something second video. And she said immediately. Don Jr. retweets. Trump waits until 7:17 Eastern time. He clips it to a 17-second video. And he starts it with me wearing the "We Are Cute. Where we go one, we go all" 17 on the back, bro.
Wow.
And he tweets it out, and he says, "I am on my way. I'll see you," all in caps. If that ain't comms, that was him telling me, with you, the movement, right?
That's awesome.
And then they gave me the presidential challenge. And an old dope fiend like me, right? Like, and that was the beauty of Dallas, and I saw that, right? Like, you guys are all just as every single one of you guys listening right now are just as capable. In that moment, what it did started a spark, okay? Because the media has been bashing this movement from the beginning, right? The only thing, I don't even know, you can't tell me who gets beat up more, Trump or Q, right? It's the same thing. If they're putting all this energy into it and they're beating it up, why? Right? Because we know about Operation Mockingbird. We know about the media because we've watched them divide the people so long. But for the first time, got to see what this movement really stood for in real life, and nobody had a chance to smut it up. That's what the Where We Go One, We Go All stands for. Right?
Yeah.
That's what this movement is. It's not about what they tell you it is. Right? It's about this guy, big old beard, burly, crying, carrying this old man. That's the movement that Trump talks about.
That's the movement. By the way, I just dumped a bunch of lemons in D-Live to the great listeners that are out there supporting this program. So in about 5 seconds, we're going to figure out who won. This is my biggest donation ever because the Patriots are really coming through, and I just want to make sure that they're rewarded for listening. So the 5 winners in D-Live are, it's slow posting because we have a call on, and so it's a guest on, so it's being a little slow posting. It may not post it. I don't know. It says a blank screen, but see who the winners are, and we'll just carry on. So I'm with you because, you know, I remember when Trump was campaigning and he was supposed to go to Chicago, and Bernie Sanders activists decided to cause a disturbance outside the event. And they ended up injuring a couple of policemen, and they injured a police horse that was trying to patrol. And they had infiltrated, they'd put Trump shirts on and hats on and infiltrated inside the event. And so they were going to cause a major disruption inside the event. And the police advised Trump to cancel the event. And so he did at the last moment. And there was about 9,000 people in there who were let down. That never happened again. Trump never allowed but more than maybe half a dozen disruptors to get inside the building. And that kind of violence was stopped after that. And I've been to, 3 rallies and several events, and I've never seen any violence at all. Now, there were protests in Dallas before this event came up, the Patriot Voice. And there was some kind of weak petition that went around. And what happened was the hotel where we were actually going to have the event, where we were all booked, the Omni, decided to drop the event. Well, they moved it to a Tilly's or Dilly's, which was maybe a block away, and they were shuttling us back and forth. It was an older facility. It's condemned. It's going to be torn down later on this year. But it was fabulous, and it was perfect for what we were going to do. It was an old line dancing club. And there were some infiltrators that came in. They were from CNN. They infiltrated. They tried to disrupt it. They were actually sending pictures out on their Facebook. And John and Amy were so adept, they were watching their Facebook feeds. And they started noticing these pictures from inside the event were showing up on their Facebook pages. And so what they did is they used the angle where the pictures were taken from and calculated about where they were sitting in the audience. And they moved in with the police and they arrested them. They took them out and arrested them for trespassing. But that was the only disruption the entire weekend. It was fabulous. I have to tell you, these events are top-notch, and Patriots are not violent at all. Zero. It's all about the love. It's all about the country. It's all about the... I get that feeling. It isn't, and that's the truth.
Yes, it is. And when you guys go to the YouTube channel, you'll see that. So remember the Tulsa rally right after coronavirus, first one Trump did?
Yes.
Okay, so I went to Tulsa.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and I'm sitting in there. Trump's on stage for not even 5 minutes. The whole time I'm thinking, can't be here, right? Like I'm listening to that turn left here, that God voice, right? I'm not, and I went all the way. I went to Tulsa to see him, right? And I waited so long to see the rally,
Yeah.
and so I go outside because I knew I just wasn't supposed to be there. And as I go outside, this is the night, guys, and you have the video on my YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure Brooks is going to drop the link tree in this feed or description tonight, and you'll be able to find my YouTube channel because I'm very censored, and you guys can't search my name. Got to hit the direct link. So we go to Tulsa, and I get outside 5 minutes after Trump. I had to be out there, and I changed my gear. I'm wearing Trump shirt, Trump hat. So I go to the truck, I change, I put on my Q, where we go one, we go all, and I'm wearing my God wins hat, and I walk over to the protest. Now, they had already been fighting. BLM had already been mazed. This was Juneteenth, so it was very political. There was all kinds of stuff behind it, and the cops had already maced these protesters, different things. And I get over there and I see a guy named Emmanuel Hurd, right? And he's got this BLM shirt on with this megaphone. And come to find out, all he was doing, he knew there was something odd about it. A lot of unnecessary energy. He wanted to be at these events and participate, right? He believed in the idea because he's been conditioned, because he watches the media and they keep us divided, black against white, Christian against Muslim, gay against straight, man against woman. Anything they can divide us over, they divide us because we're divided. We don't realize our power, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So he's out there and he just got this megaphone. I see beautiful white light around him. I find him, Brooks, and I go talk to him. And 30 minutes later, red pilling him. I'm talking to him about Q. I'm talking to him about Soros, and I'm talking to him about this infiltration of the BLM movement. And we've got a video on the YouTube. We're crying together. We're praying together. And by the night, the second time is a couple hundred protesters are approaching the police officers, some Trump supporters, Emmanuel and his friends, and we all locked arms, and we got between cops and the protesters and got them to turn around, right? They made a decision to turn around and go a different way to be more effective. And, that kind of stuff is happening out there. It took months, guys. It took over 4 months to find that footage of us praying together. And when I found it, and mind you, there were probably 10, 15 cameras and video footage there of this moment, and they captured it. But when I found it, it was in an article that was talking about how I was racist. And I finally found a way to get along with these people. How dividing is that? No.
Wow.
My intent was to go there and to just make myself available, these people together, right? So even with all that, months of finding it, that's how they shift the narrative, right? And it's so much bigger than that. And when you guys get out there and you participate, you see, right? And not what your media is telling you, not what these people are telling you, but what you actually see, that's what it is out there.
Yeah.
So much bigger than
Oh, yeah,
Operation
absolutely.
Mockingbird and the enemy of the people.
Absolutely.
Right? We're winning.
We have another caller on the line, but we also have a break coming up on Truth Frequency Radio Network. So, Lincoln, Nebraska, if you'll just hold on to the break, another 3 minutes, we'll bring you on and get you to ask your question, Jason Frank. So, Truth Frequency Radio Network is the main radio network we go out to, and they go out through TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Orange Radio, goes all over the world. So that is audio only. And then we are streaming live, of course, on just about every platform there is. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitter, DLive, Facebook, Twitch, and Foxhole. And
Foxhole!
And the entire program is archived not only at all these places, but on Odyssey as well. So nobody can take it down. These will always be out there. You can always find them. And please share them with your friends, because you know by now, we podcasters, we can do no marketing. This is not us. It's you. You sharing it with your friends is what makes it get out there. And what we're talking about here really is the life of America. We're talking about saving the republic. And we're down, but we're not out. We know what they did in 2020. We know what they did in 2021 in January in Georgia. We have the evidence. Everything's being investigated. And next, let's see, about 3 weeks from now, Arizona is going to release their results. They could release it now, but they're trying to get their hands on the routers and a couple more of the voting machines, which they believe were connected to the internet during the election. What they're trying to do is they're trying to follow the trail before the results are let out. And that way, when the Democrats and their 130 lawyers, there's 130 lawyers at $1,000 an hour in Arizona right now, 130 lawyers at $1,000 an hour each. And they're trying to stop this information coming out. And they're not going to be able to do it. Now, I don't know. I don't have anything official. But my gut tells me somewhere between 220 and 240,000 votes are what are going to be tossed out for various reasons. Dead people, double voting, and especially the counterfeit ballots. Now, these are specifically mail-in ballots that were pre-printed, probably in China. They were shipped to Arizona, held in a warehouse, and at the last minute, during the night, when they realized that Trump was wiping them out, they gave a phone call to what I call Ballots R Us, and they loaded them up in an Enterprise rental truck, brought them down, and dumped them into the system. But the problem with these ballots, there's two problems with them. Number one, they're on counterfeit paper. They didn't know that Arizona thought ahead, and they printed all their ballots with an ultraviolet watermark. The counterfeit ballots don't have it. And the second thing is, when they pre-printed the ballots, they pre-voted them. So all the votes were cast by the printer, not by an ink pen, by an individual voter. And so the cyber ninjas were able to identify all of these counterfeit ballots, and they removed them. They sequestered them. And this is what's going to come out. Now, obviously, if you take 220 to 240,000 ballots out of the system, Trump won Arizona. Huge. The other thing is that Pennsylvania, Georgia, New Hampshire, and I believe Minnesota sent delegates from the state legislatures to Arizona to meet with the cyber ninjas to see what they were doing, to alert them as to what may have happened in their own states. And they went back to their own states, and they're going through the evidence, and damned if the same thing didn't happen in their states. So I think what's happening is the high-level organization and funding that went behind this, and we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that was poured into this, that's going to come out. But also, the reason Arizona is delaying their release of the results, the voting results, the ballot results, is they're waiting for the other states to catch up. Because if 2 or 3 states more can make their announcement on top of Arizona's, it'll be like a combination punch. The Democrats won't be able to defend against it. And then, and you back me up if I'm wrong here, or correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, we find ourselves in a constitutional crisis because we have a man in the White House who didn't win the election. Now, the Constitution gives us a couple of solutions, but not for this. The solution is if a candidate doesn't reach 270 electors. There is no solution for if the wrong candidate reached 270 electors. We're in new territory here, and you know what it's going to take? It's going to take we the people unified and being in control, so the war they're trying to start can't happen. That's what we have to do. We have to keep the peace. All right, let me bring the caller on. We've got a caller in Lincoln, Nebraska. They may know you. I don't know. Caller in Lincoln, Nebraska, you are on the air. Do you have a question for Jason Frank?
Hi, this is Style Girl.
Hi.
Hi. So I thought
Hello,
I
young
should call. Not so young, but okay. So I am nervous on the phone and talking.
That's okay. That's okay.
And the only reason that I'm kind of calling is because, well, your name resonates as far as your name is Jason and in meth, I guess you just said. And my brother's name went through a meth addiction, and he overcame it, and he's a good father and a great man today. So much kudos for that. And also that your last name is Frank, Nebraska, and was in my journey that I've found the Franklin case in Omaha, Nebraska, with the boys' town, and my aunt having sent her son there, and everything that I learned that I didn't think that in this small community, Nebraska, that it such a I don't know, swelling pot for trafficking children. I don't know if you know that about that, but and then my sister works in children's services, basically placing children in homes, right? She's a Democrat and works for an organization that I had heard on another program that they're well aware about the trafficking children, like that. So I guess my question is, you're saying that you're going to be seeing children with your organization and helping them to heal. How are you planning to actually get to the children when they're so infiltrated, hidden, kidnapped?
That's a great question. Because, I think about the pedophiles and how terrible they are, and how this is a rite of passage for these evil power brokers and, even celebrities. But when you think of the kids, it just tears your heart out. How are we going to get to them, Jason?
Oh, the first, guys, and I learned this after Dallas. Emotional every time we talk about kids, right? Because that's everything else is a distraction. That's what's going on. The only thing that's new to this is transparency and the accountability of it. Right? They've been doing this shit since the Mayans. They've been sacrificing forever.
Sure.
So we have to build emergency shelters. Guys, you have to get in your communities and you have to start bothering. If you got to go to your mayor, these communities, where is the closest shelter? Because what happens is when these cops go rescue kids, is if they don't have somewhere close enough to breathe, they have to go right back into the system we're talking about, right? So with an emergency shelter don't. That can be their first drop off.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're targeting that, and it's so important to have these shelters, people like your sister, right? That are involved. That know there's so many. They're Democrat, military, all these people join these organizations because they have a beautiful heart and they wanted to make a difference, right? And what happened was when they got there, they realized that everything was infiltrated by evil. The people at the top of these places were doing these, right? So their hands were tied. You have to get those people involved in local things, and emergency shelters is one of those things. That's their first point of contact, right? So if they have somewhere, they won't bring them right back to the system they ran away from or they rescued them.
Yeah, and you got to
Because
keep them
when
away
these,
from
these
from,
things happen, they run away.
and you have to keep them away from Child Protective Services because that is a whole
Yes,
network.
oh, that's sick. Look at New York, as places, people, and what a coincidence! 17 people were arrested for farming these kids out. Right? It's the same as they call him John of God, the guy from Brazil. All this came from the Anthony Weiner laptop. Right? Same shit. Like these people, that's what they do. They farm these kids out. They're the most closest, beautiful thing to creation, to God, and they're what they do. They target them, right? So we have to protect them. Go ahead.
Well, just that I do that. I feel like the whole power structure, everything in the energy part that we're talking about, that all of the power I really do does come from the children and the harm that they're able to do, and the fact that they're all undercover. And do think that I think that they're, yes, takes them out and says that they're going to give them to a good home, and then they're taken to these quote unquote places that are supposed to be safe, but it's actually a haven for pedophiles. So I really think that maybe a better effort in it somehow, legally. I know how many people have had to fight the system to get their children back and end up in dire situations. I just maybe uncovering some of that, and also going after, because legality things that I understand about CPS, and that you don't even have to really do anything other than apply, and they can get into CPS.
They get bonuses. They get bonuses at the end of the year for how many kids they take away from families. That's disgusting.
Yeah, and there are people who pride themselves on taking children away from families.
And we're not going to let that happen. Our voice is so strong, and the power is going to be us.
I think that we need to just come up with a whole nother system and get rid of government as the entity or something. I don't know.
I'm totally with you.
I don't know what we do about it.
First, start infiltrating organizations, right? Like, I learned that when I went to Comet Ping Pong Pizza in Washington, D.C., and I became friends on Facebook with the manager. I infiltrated. I was able to become friends with him. I had 3 days before he figured out who I was and what my intent was, dig on him and all his sick friends. And we found charter schools. We found karate dojos. We found dance studios. We found that they were all involved in human health services, and we found this stuff on them, right? They're all involved. So we have to get involved. We have to, in our local community, you guys, that especially now that we have time off, what a beautiful gift this coronavirus was, right? We learned so much. We started questioning at time, right? We have time now to get involved in these. Even if it's 1, 2, 3 people at a time, get in your CPS, volunteer your time, get in your school boards, start being that voice. uncomfortable, but the template we're going to show and the template we're going to bring to you guys as we come to your different communities is to show you how to do that and encourage you of your strength, right? We look at all these videos. Look what happened with masks. Look at all these across the country where the parents said, we're not cool with it. We're not going to do this. And they stood up and they used their voice. Same thing needs to happen in CPS, right? But we're going to have to do a slow process and get in there and find the light, find the people that have the right intent and the right heart that want something different and encourage them. And as we come together and there's more than one of us, we realize our power in that and we're more encouraged to do that, right? If we want something different, we have to participate, right? The whole reason, and I'll be the first one to tell you, we get distracted. We were distracted by sports, distracted in the strip clubs. We were distracted by gambling. We were distracted by the frantic effort to acquire more. Let me get a better job with better money so I could have the boat, the bigger house, and all this shit so I could look good. No. Let me get involved in my community, right? Let me get involved in this stuff. And that's the biggest part of it. We have to find a way to participate in that if we want something different.
That's true.
We've got our critical race theory debate coming before our school board and about 2 hours away. At the end of the month. So I'm going to try to figure out.
You'll be there, right?
I just keep thinking
You'll be there.
I call it critical racist theory because that's what it is. It's designed to teach people to think only about the color of their skin. That's not America.
Oh,
well, they did that the same thing with
my children are.
Yep.
I have children, and I told my daughter she got through school. The critical race theory wasn't even there yet, but Black Lives Matter had come up, and I told her it's George Soros, and you need to think about it. But she was still in high school at the time, and she said, no, it really matters and all of this. And she got out, and I had to continue to tell her, you need to look this up. By the time she left home after high school, came back to me, said to me that, Mom, I found out you were right, and I can't believe all this stuff, but the one that actually told me about Q. That weird.
Awesome.
It's definitely, you're getting indoctrinated in school, and I'm still trying to, my other ones that are still in school, like their racism, and it's really difficult because they do believe it, and that I don't understand what they go through, but
yeah, I've heard the logic. I've heard the logic. It's terrible.
I have my oldest daughter marched with Black Lives Matter, right? But I wasn't there during her, but I sent her to. But what I had to tell her was, I'm so proud of you participating in something. It took me till I was 40 years old to finally start participating. It's my fault she's indoctrinated. I sent her to, right? I allowed it to happen because I didn't know, because I was distracted. So now all I get to is participate in something different. And like you said, your daughter, she introduced you to Q, like they're coming around, right? And they will get there. And I've got nieces.
As soon as they're out of school.
Yes, they're so angry. Just pissed off. They don't trust nothing. They don't even believe in God, some of them, right? Because they feel like they've been lied to about everything.
Yep.
And we will get there, right? And it's a process. Look, there's no template. The destruction of the old guard. These people, if you really sit back and look, we're taking down systems that have been controlling this world for a very long time, right? And Trump, he put a bunch of things in play to look out for the people. For instance, one of them, if you get charged crimes against humanity, that money used to go, like if El Chapo would get busted, that money would go to different three-letter agents. No accountability.
Right.
DEA could spend it however they wanted. Now, if you get charged with a crime against humanity, it goes back into the treasury, right? So there's so many things that are happening that we have to find our voice, and we will get there, right? And the quicker we can participate in our local communities, that it national impact, right? When we get involved in that, and Brooks was talking about that before he called me on tonight. Like, it starts as simple as the PTA board, starts as simple as the SOT at school. That's what I did. I didn't, at first I was like, oh, this is all indoctrination. I got custody of my 6-year-old. I'm pulling her out of school. I'm homeschooling her. No, like, I'm not giving, no TV, no music, none of that shit, because I see the agenda behind it, right? So what I had to do was find that balance. And I said, you know what? Let me participate in the school board, because I can be that voice. I can say things. Yeah, we all can't homeschool, right? But damn it, I mean, how much TV time do we watch?
Well,
Right?
this has been going on a
You
long
think
time.
we can't go for a couple hours to a school board meeting?
It's been
Come
going
on,
on
guys.
a long time. I remember when Bill Clinton was president, there was something called Education Edge or Goals 2000. And I was working with the school board in Morristown, Tennessee. And they were trying to push what was called the rainbow curricula in those days. And I went to the State House in Nashville, and I debated our school superintendent before the House and before the audience there, and I beat him. And we were discussing basically introducing 2 textbooks into our schools. This was in 1995. And one was called Heather Has 2 Mommies, and the other one was My Daddy Has a Roommate. And we kept those textbooks out of our school district because of that
in
debate.
1995.
Yeah. And by the way, I
You
was a
see where we're
scoutmaster.
at now.
I was a scoutmaster for 6 years. And NAMBLA, you don't hear much about them, but this
North American Boys Association.
yeah, Man-Boy Love
Boy
Association.
Lovers.
They
Boy Lovers
sued
Association.
they sued the state of Tennessee so many times that Tennessee was going broke trying to defend themselves between NAMBLA and GLAAD, which is the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, that they forced the Boy Scouts of America to allow gay scoutmasters into the organization. They began going into the woods, boys. Now, this is in 1995. Now, here we are in 2021, and the Boy Scouts of America is no more, and they're facing about $1 billion in molestation, child molestation lawsuits from parents because their boys were molested by gay scoutmasters while out on weekend camping trips. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what destroyed the Boy Scouts of America. So I've been fighting this fight for a long, long time. And the key to this is, I hate to say it, but it is the Convention of States. We have to have the states call a constitutional convention, and we have to undo the federal power that these agencies, departments, bureaus, and administrations have. We've got to remove their federal power. Got to put the power back in the hands of the states.
Yeah, and we're so
right.
much further than normalization of pedophilia. It's
Oh.
in the market stages now, and they did the same shit with the drag queen hour.
Well, you heard this recent story. Of course, we've had female teachers sleeping with the teenage boys forever. But you heard the recent story of the woman who was seducing her daughter's friends and ended up sleeping with a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old boy. They're going to defend her on the basis that she is minor attracted. and that this was consensual sex with 2 underage boys. That when you hear the letters LGBTQ+, the plus is minor attracted. The plus is pedophilia. That's what they're going to defend her.
Well, and they've
Trying to
made it
normalize
so
it.
difficult. It's so difficult for us, right? Like to stand out and say something about it, because now it looks like we're racist against our gay friends, right? And I realized that as I started going to drag queen hour and sharing this information about Desmond, sharing this information about them changing their gender, pedophiles that were, known pedophiles already, letting these kids sit on their laps. Like all my gay friends started like disassociating themselves with
Right.
because they thought I was racist, and that was part of the agenda, right? You got to divide them. You got to make it look like that. Anybody talking against these things, and when we would go out to Drag Queen Story Hour and we'd share this information, like you don't know how many parents that I met that I handed out pamphlets that just brought their kids there because they thought it was the right thing, right? Because they wanted to accept their children as a parent. Like a lot of them are just as lost, and they don't even know the system they're getting into.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then if you
that's
go
right.
look at my Facebook post, I posted one today. You got them, a choir, San Francisco, writing a song talking about how they're going to take your children
Oh,
over,
yeah.
and it shows all this drag queen, shows Baphomet, Devil, and different stuff, and they deleted it after the backlash. But we screen recorded it and we archived it and we have it, so it's out there. But it's very simple. This is so much bigger. I mean, Moloch. They've been doing this shit. The Romans had it in statues.
Sure.
Right? They've been raping on these kids forever.
By the
The
way,
only thing that's new about it is the transparency.
can you
And it's wrong that
yeah, it is.
they're using the gay and lesbian community to basically to say that it's okay to go after children.
I couldn't
and
agree
I
more.
think that the gay and lesbian needs to be upset and
Yes.
Make a stance that pedophilia is not okay.
Right.
They need to be probably the loudest ones.
I think the gay and lesbian and the transvestite community should come out against
Right.
pedophiles because they're all fine people. Absolutely. I have great friends in all 3 categories. I don't have any problems with them, their lifestyles, or the way they live their lives at all. But the kids, hands off. Listen, thank you so much for the call from Lincoln, Nebraska. I have one more caller from New York I want to bring in.
You.
Yes, thank you, and bless you so much. Thank you so much for calling.
Brett.
Let's go ahead and get New York in. We've got about 3 minutes this segment, and then we'll spill over into the next segment. New York, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Hi, yeah. So I'm concerned about whether or not people are aware. Like for instance, Alex Jones back in 2017 was stating that Antifa was considering war against America. November 4th. That's when it was in.
True.
And also, coincidentally, not so. There's this whole. Have you heard of the Deagle website? Where it's a military website where it shows population prediction of countries and all that.
No, I'm not aware of that.
America's population in 2017. Well, for 2017 and 2025, it's on that website that supposedly population is going to go from like 330 million roughly to about 100 million. And then like over in the UK, it's going to go from like 60 million to like 15 million and all over the world. So, well, at least Western countries and stuff like that.
And what's the basis of the
is
prediction?
that,
What's the basis of the prediction of the tremendous loss of life?
they're not. It's
The
military.
Georgia
That's all I
guys
know.
don't.
So, what happened?
So
Well, what I was going to piece together was I can't really hear him. His mic's messed up or whatever.
Well, you're breaking up a little bit,
So what I was
Jason.
gonna
That's what
piece
he's
together
trying to
real quick
say.
was just, yeah, was this Antifa stuff. Like, it's cool that the people are going out to go, like, towns, the local community, decent fight and all that, and they're paying stuff, but they're not aware that them have been killing Trump supporters and stuff. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they're literally setting you people up. And so you got to, like, so it's cool that people are going out there and doing it. You got to be really aware they're in an actual war. They got to be really careful who they talk to and what's going on, and just be aware. As long as you're aware, you can stop a lot of stuff. But people are actually sinister. You have to be careful.
Yes.
So when you sign up
this
for
is a
stuff, when you
serious
cards and
Right.
cards,
Hold,
you
hold
gotta
on,
be
hold on a
careful.
second,
Make
caller.
sure that you know
Hold
who
on, hold on a second, caller. Let Jason get a word in edgewise. Go ahead, Jason.
So this is a spiritual battle, right? And God's warriors have been activated. You go out there, place of love, without no judgment, just accountability, right? If you look at, I don't know what kind of research and where you're getting your numbers from, but no, Antifa ain't killing people. Right? Antifa is George Soros. It's all infiltrated. Patriots are a lot stronger than what you're giving them credit for.
Well, they
Right.
now Antifa and BLM have been infiltrated, and I think I have even
Yes,
heard
but they're
on
not
tape.
killing people.
No, I have heard on tape, even Chinese regulars, Chinese soldiers, giving orders up there in Seattle as they're assaulting the police. And Trump supporters have been shot and killed, assassinated in the streets during these events. So yes, it is going on out there, but I don't think it's widespread. Antifa is run by an organization called the OFA. This is the Organization for Action, set up in 2013 by Barack Obama. At one time, there were a little over 25,000 paid activists working for OFA, and their job was to teach people a tactic called the Black Bloc. This is where they all dress the same, they mask their faces, they don't carry heavy weapons but light weapons, but they work and move as one, so they can't be identified. And it's a subversive tactic that's used to cause mayhem, burning cars, smashing windows, getting the locals to loot. They don't actually do the looting themselves, but they break the windows and bust open the doors and convince the locals to loot their own businesses. And then, yes, some of them have actually killed people. So this is all Barack Obama's organization, and they're much bigger now, and they're much more well-funded, and they are formidable. And Jason, I think you're right on it. I mean, I respect the caller. He's called here a few times, and I do realize that we are in a war, but it is actually a series of battles. It's not an actual war with ranks and tanks and all of that. What we have are about 55,000 communist Chinese soldiers that are inside our country, but they have infiltrated corporations, universities, medical organizations, and all the agencies, departments, bureaus, and administrations. They are Chinese soldiers. They're just out of uniform, and they're working on behalf of the CCP. And a lot of them were brought here through E5. They were brought here under different ambassador programs, different visa programs, but they're here. And I think that the attack with the made-for-TV virus in late 2019 is an act of war that requires a military response. And that response should be not war with China, but to take these 52,000 soldiers as prisoners of war. And they need to be deported from our country tomorrow. That's my thought on it.
Yes. Yes. And, Brooks, but like you had brought up earlier, how many people go to a Trump rally? 20, 30,000 people. There's more people waiting outside to get in that couldn't get in because of the.
Right.
So there's so many more of us come from that place, and I'm not diminishing you or telling you that that's not happening. So much bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The one that happened in Florida, there were 2 million people that watched it online.
Guys, and that's the thing I don't want, and it sounds like, caller, you're, that fear, that whole thing back to Tesla, secret of the universe, the energies, vibrations, and frequency. What are there? There's two: love and fear. Fear is the same as hate, right? If you're scared of something, you're angry.
Yep.
So there's that love is so much brighter and bigger right now. That, when I was on, and you go to that YouTube, I've never spoken in my life, but when I brought up a point, I went to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, and I talked about, I took that information and I tried to send it to Liz Crokin, right? Because we were digging on it, all the anons on the boards, on HN and different things, digging on it. And we were opened up all these rabbit holes, found all these different charter schools, karate dojos, and dance studios that these people own, right? The Conspiracy Comet Ping Pong Pizza. And when I sent it to her, she responded back with, "Can't talk about this, Jason. They're going to kill you." And what I told her was, let them. When I said that, there was a standing ovation, right? And you were there, Brooks, and
Yep.
you can remember that resonated with the people, because it doesn't matter. Let them kill me, because thousands of you are going to pick up the torch and keep going, right? It doesn't matter. America is the greatest world because we're willing to spill blood, bleed, and die for her. And if we're not, we don't deserve her. So if a few of us got to give up our lives, so be it. Let me be one of them. I'd be honored to do it, right? Because we're the majority and we're so much bigger than them. So I'm telling you this, and I'm getting, very emotional and in it, because it's
okay.
important to me. Fuck them, bro. Don't let that fear keep you from the power of who you really are and what you stand for, right?
Well,
You're bigger than that, and we got your back,
I
right? And I hope
really,
you guys, and I know you guys got my back, so I'm going to keep standing there.
well,
And
I
I'll
really
go
think
in front
that
of these BLM protests, and I'll go to Antifa, and I'll keep using this voice from a place of love and light.
right, and I think that's what really disarms them. Is even when I've spoken to people who have gone to Trump rallies with the intention of mayhem, they haven't been in huge numbers, but one of the first things that they come back saying is, "Wow, everyone was so loving. Everyone was smiling. People gave me pizza. People gave me, free bottles of water. They let me cut in line. They were so nice to me." And that's America. That's what we are. We are patriots because of our love. I think of sometimes movies where you have a terrible villain like Darth Vader, and they talk about, fear leads to the dark side, leads to loss and hatred and all that. But when you watch the hero fight, he never fights out of anger. He fights out of love. And when you go all the way back to the founding of our country and the re-defending of our country numerous times, it was the love of the country that won. It wasn't the hatred of our enemies. It was the love of America. It was the love of the families back home, and the farmers and the bus drivers. It was the community. It was the love of that. Now, we've been lucky. We've been blessed. We have never been bombed. No one has ever invaded us or taken a city, had to retake it back. That's never happened to us before. Maybe we're being threatened with that now. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think any country is prepared to invade a country that has 250 million weapons and 2 billion rounds of ammunition. I just don't think they're ready for that. But that being said, they're fighting us other ways. They're demoralizing us. They're dividing us. They're getting into our schools. They're getting at our kids. And you have to do exactly what Jason is saying. You have to love your way through it. You have to have the higher vibration. You have to take the higher road, because as soon as they convince you to hate, as soon as they convince you, dehumanize the enemy, they've won. They won your soul. Don't let them do that to you. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, Jason, but that's the way I feel.
Oh, I was just shutting up and smaller talk.
Well, I muted
I
the
got a lot.
caller for because something about when he calls in, he doesn't hear anything else except his voice, and he just keeps going. So I'm letting him sit out there and listen to us. He's kind of a regular caller and a regular listener. And, you know, I have to say, when Alex Jones began bringing this stuff up back in the, I guess it was mid-2000s, 2008, 2009, 2010, when Alex Jones first started coming on, I was on his program in 2011, and I found him to be a perfect gentleman. He was respectful to me. We discussed our topic, and did a really great job, and I had a lot of respect for Alex. I still do. Alex Jones asked questions, and it got us to thinking about something unthinkable, that there were pedophiles inside our government, that there were pedophiles in Hollywood, and they were preying on our children and our young people as they go to Hollywood and try to be a star or whatever. They had to give it up. We thought he was crazy. We thought he was nuts. We thought he was a conspiracy theorist. It all turned out to be true.
Yeah, we look at, what was it, a couple weeks ago? And if you guys want the article, it's on my Facebook page. Hillary Clinton, top aide. He opened up a nonprofit 501c organization to fight sex trafficking. And you know what? He just got arrested a couple weeks ago, and this is in this so-called, you want to call him a Biden administration or whatever it is. He gets arrested. This is a guy that opened up an organization to help these kids. Then he gets arrested for raping on these kids, right? Like, it's so much bigger than that. And,
Right.
Alex Jones, I love him for waking up the people. However, the disagreement I have with him is that the energy, right, Brooks? Because it gets everybody riled up. It gets everybody ready to kill somebody. It
Yes.
gets everybody angry.
Yes.
Right? And I don't agree with that, right? We can find a better way. We can do better. I don't know what that is. I know together we can figure that out, guys. Right? But he played his part in waking up the people. Don't like the energy. I don't agree with that.
We developed a really good tactic at the rallies. And it was early on. I think it was actually during the campaign. And then after the presidency, we adopted it, we kept it going. Whenever there was a commotion, whenever somebody would stand up and, show their butt, we would begin chanting USA, USA, and we would drown them out. And it unified us. It made us powerful. It made us impervious to their hatred. And as they were ushered out, we were able to control the crowd's anger with keeping people focused on the country and on the flag and what it stands for.
We did that in Dallas. John and Amy did an excellent job with that when General Flynn was speaking. Remember?
Yes.
There was the guy from Vice. I forget his name. He's written a couple hit pieces. But he was in the audience out there. And they saw him, but they waited, and General Flynn called him out, and they escorted him out of there. But they did it from a loving way. Look, true transparency, accountability, right? This where we go one, we go all. Means I don't care about what you did yesterday. I don't care about what you're thinking about doing. How are your feet moving? And if you want to participate in something bigger than yourself, right, from a selfless place, like, we're going to be here with you. Right? But if not, that behavior is no longer accepted here in this community, and you got to go. Right? We can do that from a loving way. We can do that from a place to say, hey, you're not welcome here right now. And that's where the term outlaw came from, Brooks. Right?
Well,
you didn't want to participate in the community. I've got really old books. Okay, and one of them is from 1874. And it talks about in New York, in upstate New York, how there were 4 classes of people. Okay? The high class, the first class, I've always assumed it was people with money. Okay, but in 1874, when they wrote this book, you know who the first class of people were? It was you. It was me. It was people that were involved in their community. They made decisions about what entertainment was played, what was taught in school, what was going to go on in that community.
That's right.
The second class of people was the people with all the money, the Knickerbockers, the people that came over. Okay, they didn't get to decide. They didn't get to decide what we talked about, what was taught in our. But somewhere in those 150 years, we've all been duped in believing that the first class is the people with the money. Oh, that's bullshit. You guys are the first class because you're directly involved in your community.
I was talking to Zach. It was a while back, and he used the term mainstream media. And I said, well, hold on a second, Zach. See, Zach is, by the way, Red Pill 78, which
I love
very,
him.
very successful young man. He's had his challenges, but he's got a fantastic voice and a great intellect, and has built a brand. And honestly, I think
And a beautiful heart.
and he needs to have his own Sirius XM channel. That's what I'm thinking. But I said, I think you're describing them. They need to be called the fake stream news because we are the mainstream. We are mainstream America. America Free Radio is exactly what it says. We are America, and we're free, and we're the voice of the revolution. They're not mainstream media. They're the fake stream media. They're the propaganda media. We are the silent majority. Now, we're not huge. You know, we have maybe 20,000 people that are subscribing to this program, but we stream about 15,000 hours a month. It gets out there. It reaches people. And the same thing with Zach. Zach's got probably 200,000 subs, and he reaches way more people than we do. So together, we make up the mainstream, and we stream on the small screen, not the big screen, like the 6 white guys that control all the broadcast media and the 4 tech guys that control all the platforms. We use their platforms, but we have a true message of love and unity, and we're not fighting anyone. We're defending America.
You know, and the fact that if look, and this will completely solidify what Brooks is talking about, guys. If you go to the White House channel right, and you look at, they censor the likes, they turn off the comments.
Yeah.
If you go to any of these celebrities that we all know about that have been things to kids and different things, you look in the comments when they post something, 90% of them are you guys talking about bullshit. You're a piece of shit. We know this, we know that, right? They can't look. There's going to come a time where they can't walk in this, right? And if you look at comments, you look at the likes and dislikes and those things. Why would they turn them off? They were the mainstream. Why would they
Right.
turn them off if that was the majority? Right? It's because we're so much louder and so much bigger. And when we turn off that damn box in our house, follow these citizen journalism. We follow Brooks. We follow Red Pill 78. These people that are putting out the real information. We go to Foxhole, and I'm going to give a shout out to Methods, guys at Foxhole. What a beautiful platform that is, right? It doesn't matter where they take us off of. We're still getting this message out to millions of people, not just in this country, but across the world.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's so much bigger than that. It's beautiful.
I was talking to the Methods yesterday. I need a little bit of training on how to do some more stuff with Foxhole. And they got big plans. They're going to increase the bandwidth. Yeah. They're going to increase the presence. And right now, Patriot News is live. Brothers Uncensored, Singing Pretty, One Foot in 5D, which is Alara of Sirius. Fantastic job. Salty Cracker, NPC. All these people are live right now on Foxhole. And this is like,
there like 80 something streamers on there?
What's that?
I think there's like 80, 90 different people. Let's see, I'm going to read it off right now. Patriot News is live. Brothers Uncensored is live. Those Who Do 77, Pretty, One Foot, NSD, Salty Cracker, Brooks is live on there. The MPC Show, Magical Trevor, ESB, Carly Boo, all them are live right now, guys. Like,
Yes.
YouTube kicks us off. Facebook kicks us off. Foxhole is never going to kick us off. Everybody is on there streaming, giving you guys this information.
And see,
We
we're
are the
many
news
voices.
now.
We're many voices, but we're one message. Because
Yes.
it comes from the heart. It comes from love of America, what makes us great. We all have different approaches, different aspects. I mean, I'm a big fan of X22 Report, of Monkey Works. I mean, these are great patriots that give us great information. And we don't need to be, and it's kind of funny. Well, it's not funny. It's kind of scary, actually. When you flip the channels of the fake stream news, they use the same words. They use exactly the same phraseology, like a big
Talking
echo
points.
box. Because all they're doing is reading a teleprompter. None of what Jason and I have done tonight is scripted. It's all from the heart, every bit of it.
Yeah, and that's so easy once you see that and realize that and watch them. That was, that was the biggest part of the awakening. That was very, at first when I realized all this shit a few years ago and was like, you know what? I'm not watching TV. Nope, kids, we're not listening to radio because we want some 432 hertz and all this energy is bad and we're not eating GMOs. And, it was such a big shift. But, there's so many people that are sharing love and, we're so much bigger than them. And that's why it doesn't matter what's going on, Brooke. Like, I'm always walking around. I use the expression sometimes. I'm happier than a bag in a. Like, what a beautiful time to be alive. It is beautiful. It doesn't matter. I walk anywhere I walk in. Like, how are you doing? I'm like, are you serious? Doesn't get much better than this. Like, I get to witness it. I get to be here right now, right? Because other platforms, because of you guys, I see the reality of our world today. I see the reality of the situation, right? It's so much bigger than Fox, even Fox News, all of them. They're all bought off. They're all paid for by the same, right? You guys are the.
Yes, we are.
We look at that and we can realize that when we look at the numbers, so encouraging. Like, wow, we're nowhere near the position that these guys are telling me because I've been in my community. I've listened to these other platforms. I've read the likes and dislikes and all this stuff, and we're way better off than they're giving us credit for. We got this. We're gonna pull this off, man. It's
Yes,
pretty
we
cool.
are.
It's exciting, man.
We
Yeah,
used to
fuck
think.
Yeah, we are, bro.
We used to think in this country that all we had to do was get out and vote. Well, we did get out and vote in 2020. More of us, 13 to 15 million more of us than ever voted before. And we saw what they did. And all the evidence is there. It just has to be processed. We are a nation of laws, but we, unfortunately, are not a nation of justice. And we have to bring justice bear. Because I will tell you what war is. I was in the Air Force at the height of the Vietnam War. And I will tell you right now, war is justice denied. That's what it is. Because if we had justice, if the Dirty 30, the Clintons and Brennan and Clapper and Obama and Auer and Rice, if they were in jail right now because of that January 5th, 2017 meeting where they committed to exercising a coup against President Trump, if they were all in prison right now, there would be world peace. But those people.
What's the penalty? What's the penalty?
Well, it should be swinging from the gallows pole.
Well, that's what it used to be not very long ago, right?
Yeah, I would be happy with life in prison at Gitmo. I would be satisfied. I don't want to see anybody die. I'm not threatening anyone's life. But when we see people that are guilty of murder and witness tampering and intimidation and rape and money laundering and stealing taxpayer dollars to make themselves rich, we see them walk free. We see them swinging the gavel every single day. It infuriates us. And we just cannot let that be. We cannot let ourselves be infuriated. We must have justice. And I will tell you this, America Free Radio stands for a lot of things, but we stand for truth, justice, and the American way. And you could play the Superman theme right now.
Well, that's the biggest part. That's why I was decided to behind of you and what this movement was standing for. It was truth, transparency, accountability. I don't get to judge. I don't get to pick what your charge is or what that looks like. But whatever judicial system we got for now, we'll handle that, and God will handle that in the end. But look, the light's going to shine on you. Dark is no longer. They can't survive in the light. The people are bright enough and they're loud enough, strong enough, and we will bring that light. Now is the time where they have to draw their line in the sand. We see it with all of them. You can't. There's no more cookie cutting, right? Like, you have to show, and people further along the process, and with Barr or all these other people, we get to watch it play out and see what they're going to do, but they have to draw their line in the sand.
True enough.
You're either
Jason,
spiritual battle.
Jason, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Again, we're talking about hashtag Operation 109 and other things.
1009.
I'm sorry, 1009, Operation 1009.
Yes. Are you going to drop the link? You drop the link in the comments right now that I sent you over on the Skype channel?
Yeah, the Skype is a little bit cantankerous to get to the chat.
I'm so hard to find, Brooke, that got to have a direct link to my channels. Even if you search me, you'll be looking for 2 hours. Spell it out the right, perfect way on Facebook, YouTube, all that. I'm censored because I'm over the target, right? And I'm happy with that. So Brooks can drop you a link tree or text me if he doesn't. You guys have my phone number. I'll directly send it to you. Find me on Facebook. Everything's under Freedom Rings, but got to have that link to click on. And
I put it in both chat rooms. My
profile's completely open on Facebook, so if you guys get in the comments, especially if your profile's locked up and I can't see like your page and what you're posting about and different stuff, get in one of my comments on the thread and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I heard you on Brooks Agnew show tonight, and I want to get in contact or text me, something like that, but reach out and be specific. I got a lot of pending requests, but drop the link tree, Brooks.
Yep, it's already in there.
All right, there you go, guys.
It's been my pleasure to have you on the program tonight. Thanks for hanging out there by the mailboxes in Oklahoma and being with us tonight.
Man, thank you, guys. I'm honored to be here, and what a blessing.
We love your heart.
Brooks,
we love your heart. We're going to
so
see you in Vegas.
You'll see me in Vegas, but those of you guys that want to see me next week in Oklahoma, if you're close enough, come on down to the city. I'll put you up. You guys can sleep in one of these little rooms we got. You can sleep in my truck. We'll make it work. We got a lot of work to do. There's so much stuff going on for October 22nd, 25th. But, if you can't get there till then give me a hug and, connect with me. And, thank you guys. And what a beautiful community this is. And I'm so proud of you guys, man. We got this. Really do.
Thank you, Jason. Great job tonight. Thanks for hanging in there, and we'll talk to you another time for sure.
Yes, sir. Stay in the light and stay in the fight. I love you guys. Thank you, Brooks. Talk to you soon, brother.
All right. So that is it for America Free Radio tonight. We've got about 1.5 minutes left. I just want to remind you Go out and look for the good and help it to grow a little bit every day. Before long, you will have saved the planet. This is America Free Radio. I'm your host, Brooks Agnew, saying peace, Earthers. Now go and do. That's what it's about. We're a people of action. We're people of love. We're people of excitement and trust and brotherhood and sisterhood. I know we're right in the middle of summer. Days are going to start getting shorter. Time is going to accelerate, and we need to get busy. So if you think you're working 40 hours a week and that's all you can do, think again. Keep listening, and we'll give out some assignments. And thank you so much for meeting the call tonight. We'll make sure that those funds that were contributed tonight get over to Jason and Operation 1009. We're going to put that link in the description down here in YouTube, as well as the link tree. So if you didn't get it in the chat, you'll get it in the description of the YouTube that goes out tonight. I will also put it in my newsletter, which goes out tonight to about 4,000 people that subscribe to that news. Don't forget, next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, right here, live. Thank you so much for being part of the program. See you, everyone. Bye-bye.
God bless.